Broadcasting from Century Studios in downtown Regina, Harvard Media presents The Sportscage, where Saskatchewan comes to talk local sports. Brought to you by Regina Motor Products, proudly serving Saskatchewan for over 70 years. Visit rnpchevrolet.com today. Be part of the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262. The Sportscage. Streaming at sportscage.com, our YouTube channel, and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
They won 3 straight to oust Dallas last year. They've won 3 straight to put the Stars on the brink. The Oilers have a 3-1 series lead in the Western Conference Finals.
The Edmonton Oilers, 1 win away from a return trip to the Stanley Cup final. Another win last night. They beat Dallas 4-1 in a game which the Stars actually played pretty well, but it wasn't enough. The Oilers are clicking on all cylinders. Tomorrow night, the American Airlines Arena, the Oilers will have the chance to wrap the series, but, and it's a big but, they're going to have to try and do it without Zach Hyman. He left the game last night in the first period after a hit by Mason Marchment. He dropped his right arm, skated directly off the ice, and it didn't look good. That's a shoulder all day long. And if you have not heard, Zach Hyman had surgery earlier today. Chris Knobloch said he's out. Some people are thinking just for this round. No, when you have shoulder surgery, you're done. There's no way you're getting this back together in 10 games. And if they do make it to the Stanley Cup final. So Hyman is out. So it looks like the Oilers' depth will be tested again. It's one thing to be playing the Stars, but if it does end up being the Florida Panthers, that's a whole other situation. Hey, welcome to the Wednesday edition of the old Sports Cage here. It's Maz in for Barney, along with the Double C's, Curtis and Colson, running things at Century Studios. Dave Thomas, voice of the Riders, is here. We'll chat with him in just a sec. As always, the show's better when you're part of it. Prairie Land Rentals text line, 306-936-6262. Anything you want to say? Are you an Oiler fan now? Are you a little nervous? Zach Hyman and Corey Perry have been your 2 best players. I know you have a McDavid and you have a Draisaitl. They have been your 2 best players all around from what they're bringing on the ice, physically, points-wise, what they're doing, just their presence is large. Not that McDavid and Draisaitl haven't done anything, but it's Hyman and Perry, 2 of the standouts. We're on the radio, Sports Cage, next 3 hours, 620 CKRM. And also on the CKRM app. If you don't have it yet, download it. We'll do Apple. We'll do Android. Sign up for the notifications. Breaking sports news. Boom. Right there on your phone. You can also watch what we're doing on our social channels. On X at Sportscage, give us a follow. And if you're on our YouTube channel at sportscage.com, hit that subscribe button. So every time we start a show, you get notified with what's going on. The Cage is brought to you by Regina Motor Products. The RMP Spring Tire campaign is on now until Saturday. Drop in to receive up to $120 in instant rebates on select brands. Visit RMP today. Nick Elberga is going to join us. Now, Nick is part of Leafs Morning Take, LeafsNation.com. A couple days before the playoffs started, he came on, we chatted, and obviously just with everything that has gone on with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Although the conference finals are happening, they're still stealing headlines. We're going to check in. How's he doing mentally? What's going to happen? The Mitch Marner stuff. And he predicted that the Oilers were going to win the Cup. Now with this Hyman news breaking, has he changed that? We'll get into that. Eric Francis will drop by just after 4 o'clock. We'll go inside the NHL. And my buddy Kelly's going to drop by after 5. We're going to talk some football. We did invite Charleston Hughes on the show. Haven't heard back. If he shows up, great. If not, Kelly will come on. We can talk about buying commercial insurance. Or the Riders, one of the two. Twitter poll today. I think I know which way this is going to go. Is there any chance that the Carolina Hurricanes or the Dallas Stars can come back to win their series and make it to the Cup final? Colson, what's it looking like so far? I'm going to think it's a no. It's a no on both. Valiant effort by Carolina the other night, but I think both of them. It's an empty suit situation. They got their one, but I don't think they got enough jam to get 3 more.
Hold on, I'm just refreshing the page because my internet's slow. So give me 1 second. I'll get you the update on the poll. We're losing internet too, apparently.
And a shot to the engineering, to the technology department at Harvard Media, right off the top. Colson Schultz firing bullets at his own brothers. Holy.
No.
Smokes.
They do great work. Okay, hold on. Do the Carolina Hurricanes or Dallas Stars have a chance of playing for the Stanley Cup this year? No, with 56.4% is the leading vote right now.
That's not as bad as I thought. Are there that many optimists out there that somehow Carolina is going to come back? And with Dallas, I mean, if Dallas takes another penalty, the Oilers can't not score on the power. It's as simple as that. That when Jamie Penn took that penalty last night, I'm like, there you go. It's 1-0. All right, let's bring in Dave Thomas, voice of the Riders. Dave, there was a lot of panic online earlier today because a lot of people are posting, hey, today is the last full day of practice for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Whoa, hold on. Pump the brakes. Tomorrow, because there's a game on Friday, tomorrow's a walkthrough. That's why today is the last full day of practice. So it caught maybe some of the non-super diehards off guard. But what did you see in the final day of essentially training camp 2025?
Well, to wrap it up in a bow real nice is the fact that there wasn't a ton of compete periods today as far as, one-on-one, big physicality. Let's see what happens in that breakdown. It was more today focused around team play. So do you know where you need to be on this play call? And that was gone over and over and over. There wasn't even as much of an emphasis on special teams or even kicking and punting like we had seen the day previous. It was a little windy. It wasn't terrible, but the onus, I think, was on the players to perform and show off their knowledge of the playbook, if you will. So that was the primary focus through the day today.
One of the things you always hear about the New England Patriots, and you talk about the dynasty they had over all those years, no matter, because there was roster turnover, that they played situational football better than anybody else. Exactly what you're saying, knowing where you need to be in certain times in certain situations. And there is that. I know in getting a chance to see some of this live, and you see it all the time, like when they call field goal, and then everybody runs in, boom, on the offense and on the defense or whatever and sets up, or it's an extra point or it's a punt. And you have to have your head on a swivel because all of a sudden you may be somewhere on the sideline. Like you may not even be involved in that prior play, but you got to be ready to go. So stuff like that. And those are the kind of those mental mistakes that we've seen Rider teams in the past, not so much last year, but get caught and it's 5 yards, it's 10 yards, and it's 15 yards, putting yourselves back because essentially people weren't paying attention to detail.
Well, the other point of it is it actually is much deeper than that. Like the understanding of the playbook and your assignment is not just, okay, I've got to go out on the punt return team. It's also, hey, if so-and-so goes down, I've got to go out and I've also got to be on the kick return team or the kick cover team. And I had a great conversation with Kent Majuri, the special teams coordinator of the Roughriders, about this last season. We talked a little bit about how difficult his job is at times when there are in-game injuries because his special teams units are the ones that are most affected. So emphasizing where you need to be, when you need to be, and how you need to be there if this happens or this contingency falls, that was one of the focuses today. And again, you got to prepare for it, and that was one of the things the team did today.
You had a chance to chat with Coach Mace. This one is talking about the importance of Friday's game in the evaluation of players because nothing's set in stone. Cuts aren't made until Saturday. So there's still jobs up for grabs.
Very important. That's what it is. Jobs are on the line, and that'll be the final check mark for us to kind of validate or solidify our thoughts or prove us wrong going into it. So we want to make sure that we do enough to give those guys ample amount of opportunity to prove that they deserve to be here. I'd say extremely important.
in the offseason when you saw J.O. assembling this roster and then the releases would come out, more talent, teams getting deeper and deeper. And I had said months ago, when it is final cutdown day, Dave, are we going to be surprised at all if we see some familiar names on there not making this club this year because someone came in that is talented that beat them out for a job?
You know what? At this point, really nothing would surprise me because Coach Mace all along has said that every position is under evaluation, and we want the best possible players playing. Mark Mueller, offensive coordinator for the Roughriders, told us yesterday, in fact, that, you know what, we believe in everybody that we brought in here. If they weren't here, or if they are here, we believe that they can step in and play in the Canadian Football League. And there's a lot of players that have taken steps forward that are going to make some very difficult decisions going forward. Now, I don't buy into the fact. I know that football is a business, right? We all know that. And at some point, salary considerations against the salary cap have to come into play. But also saying that, I also believe that the family culture that you have is a loyalty one. Even though you shouldn't have that in football, there is some loyalty there. So if the coaching staff believes that you can perform at the level you have previously, I think you're going to be okay. So will there be names on that list that have some experience? Definitely there will be, because they brought in players with experience. Which players are going to be, we're going to wait and find out on Saturday, when the CFL cutdown day arrives. But Friday is going to go a long way to determining that.
All right, I'm very curious. I have a question for you. But we'll get to that. We're going to take our first break here in the hour, and then when we come back, we're going to hear from Coach Mace about what he wants to see from his number ones on Friday night against the Bombers. This is the Sports Cage. We are streaming live on X and on our YouTube channel, which you can get to at sportscage.com, and we're on the home of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, 620 CKRM.
Hey Rider Nation, I'm Dave Thomas, voice of your Saskatchewan Roughriders. I can't wait to bring you all of the action this season here on 620 CKRM. But you don't have to wait for game day to get the latest on the green and white. Tune in for the Roughriders training camp reports for Red Zone Sports Bar behind the Saskatoon Travel Lodge at 3 on the Sports Cage, or anytime you want at sportscage.com.
The Health Sciences Association of Saskatchewan is a union representing over 4,000 specialized healthcare professionals in over 30 professions that include paramedics, physical therapists, addictions counselors, and psychologists. We work in hospitals, emergency services, communities, and long-term care. The services Health Sciences members offer are diverse, but our priorities are the same. If you need us, HSAS professionals can help.
Another one bites the dust? What a weird saying. Are they swallowing the dust? And why is it so dusty in the first place? So many questions, but what I don't question is where I get my tires. When your vehicle needs the right tires, see your local Cooper tire dealer. Your local Cooper tire dealer carries Cooper Cobra Instinct tires. They bring your car to a shorter stop on wet roads and have decisive maneuvering and sporty performance. Dust yourself off and ask your local Cooper tire dealer about Cooper Cobra Instinct tires today.
Did you know over 1.3 million homeowners call on Reliance for their water heater needs? With over 140,000 five-star online reviews and over 60 years experience, you could say Reliance Heath are water heater experts. Switch to Reliance Heath today. They'll give you $200 plus standard installation is included. For all your hot water needs, call on Reliance. Visit waterheaterrentals.com for details. Terms and conditions apply.
Watrous Mainline GM 63rd anniversary sale is on now. Be entered to win $10,000 cash with the purchase of a new or pre-owned vehicle. Gas and diesel half-tons on ground with huge cash savings and up to 0% financing for 72 months. Looking for a heavy duty? Watrous Mainline has a massive selection on ground. Check out a brand new 2025 Kenworth T480 ready to roll for $289,995. Get in on the $10,000 cash giveaway at Watrous Mainline GM, your GM Superstore since 1962.
Hi, I'm Robin Booker, editor of The Western Producer. Our newspaper has been part of Saskatchewan farm operations for over 100 years, and we want to thank and celebrate farmers in our community. If you're going to be at Ag in Motion, Saskatchewan's outdoor farm show, please visit the Western Producer booth to share your feedback and story ideas from your community. Visit aginmotion.ca to learn more about this year's program, July 15th to 17th.
The ball
is snapped. He scans the field. He's going deep. What a play! Rider fans, make your own great play by going to riders5050.ca. You can now buy tickets for every Rider game, home or away. You can also sign up for the 50/50 Club and never miss a draw, including the weekly loyalty and early bird prizes. All proceeds support amateur football in Saskatchewan, equipping the heartland, and just maybe score a big win. Get your tickets today at riders5050.ca and go Riders! Riders 50/50 is presented by ISC.
It's the 9th Annual RPS Veterans Association and Regina Police Service Show and Shine, June 1st at the Connexus Arts Center, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., rain or shine. It's not just a car show. This free family event has something for everyone. Food trucks, vendor displays, prizes, live entertainment by School of Rock, and more. $15 to enter a vehicle. Early registration is $10. Admission is free for the public. All makes and models are welcome. Proceeds go to the Salvation Army. Don't miss the 9th Annual RPS Veterans Association and Regina Police Service Show and Shine.
If it's happening in sports in Saskatchewan, we've got it covered on Sportscage. Be part of the show. Call 936-6262 or toll free 1-866-767-0620. On your radio at 620 CKRM and online at sportscage.com.
Saskatchewan Roughrider training camp reports are brought to you by Red Zone Sports Bar behind the Travel Lodge in Saskatoon. Dave Thomas, voice of the Riders, is with us. The question I want to ask you, and you don't have to give the answer until Monday. You don't have to answer at all.
Oh, perfect.
But I know that you would have a list. Maybe there's one player, three, maybe there's 5 players on there. Just a hunch from everything you've seen that are either making this club or not making this club. And when the cuts come on Saturday, it's either going to confirm exactly what you've seen, either yes or no on this club. And that's what I'm most curious about. Obviously, you're not going to say anything now. There's a lot has yet to be decided. But guys will always play themselves onto rosters and play themselves off to rosters. Am I getting close to the target? Do you have that little list kind of assembled?
Yeah, I have it in my mind. I can go out on a limb and give you a couple of names if you want.
That are going to make it or not going to make it?
Oh, they're going to make it. I'm not going to tell you who's not going to make it. I know that Trevor Harris will be there, AJ Ouellette, Jamarcus Hardrick, and Logan Furland. I know they're all in. Kean Schaefer-Baker, sign them up. Micah Johnson, Roland Milligan Jr., they'll both be there. Jackson Ford is good.
Can I call a timeout on the punt team here?
Hey, you gave me the option.
Those are not the guys. It's all those, I mean, in hour number 2 of the show, we're going to hear from Braden Mazeri, who is, I even asked you, who is he? All he's done is make plays all camp. And we'll dive into that. But like I said, when you have a roster of, so how many guys would still be in camp? Are we still 70?
I believe it's 84.
High 70s. Okay, still 84. You've got the counters, the non-counters. There are some people that can go under the radar a little bit. I mean,
oh, for sure there are. And Braden Mazeri, just, again, he was here in Regina for the CFL Combine. He blatantly says, I didn't perform like I thought I was going to, and I didn't hear my name called on draft day. So the Riders, they looked at him, they thought, okay, he might be a fit, and he's come in, and all he's done is catch passes. And even at one point, he said, you need some extra kicking help here, right? You're going to do some extra kicking. Let me go field some of those. So what did Darian Durant tell us? You got to do what you got to do on special teams to make the team.
All right. Coach Mace, you asked him, what does he want to see from his number ones on Friday night when the Bombers come to town?
Whether it's ones or, whoever the hell's out there, man, it's execution. It's the standard. And again, we talked about that from rookie camp, even before the guys understood the culture and the vets coming. There's expectations of when we call a play of what we're looking to get done to execute. So execution regardless.
Dave, out of all of the stuff that I've heard Mace say all along, is that sort of like the most consistent and underlying message is it doesn't matter when you're on the field, you execute or it's not happening. You are not part of this club.
Yeah, and execute to the standard, right? So, right, I'm going to use my hands. If you've got your hand way up and you're saying you got to meet this expectation level and this standard for each and every rep and you're not getting there, you're going to be called out about it. And the other thing that I think is remarkable, well, not remarkable, but interesting. Recall last year, right? there was consequences if you jumped offside, right? The whole team would run wind sprints and do whatever. This time around, it's a little bit different. So if you jump offside, play stop, rep is over, you have to go and you have to sprint to the other end of the field and back. And you lose your rep. So you lose an opportunity to show what you can do and show off your skill set. So you keep jumping offside, your reps are going to be largely diminished. And boy, has that worked. Because at the start of rookie camp, I tell you, there was a lot of D linemen that were gone and missing reps. Hey, we need a linebacker in here to fill in for this DN. But by the time we've got to main camp and now that we're at this point, there was one that I saw today, two today. One on defense and one on offense. A receiver jumped offside on offense because they misread the snap count. But also, every quarterback that comes in is using a different cadence. So you got to be dialed in and ready to go for that. And that's the execution part that he's talking about.
Could you imagine if Nick Dembski was still on the Riders roster? He's been offside for the past decade. We wouldn't see him at practice. He would just be running from one end of the field to the other. He is 4 yards offside on every play for the past 8-9 years. Just again and again and again.
We can't talk about that here in Rider Nation because we had Ray Elgard. Ray Elgard wouldn't have been at camp. Come on, let's face it.
No, with Ray, I think you were seeing it wrong. You had the wrong angle. Ray, he was always on side. You just had the wrong angle. You were looking at it wrong. Then you got a chance to ask Mace about grassroots football in Saskatchewan and how it contributes to the Riders and everything that we've been growing over this past 100 and some years.
We've talked about this before. I think in this province, when it comes to football, whether it's flag, whether it's minor football, it's run so efficiently from the grassroots all the way up until they go to college or junior and ultimately the pros. So it's no shock the amount of players that I think they produce and put out, and their mentality of how they attack the game and how hard they freaking work. To me, you can't have too many Saskatchewan, players on the roster, man. That's kind of the MO of what we want to be, identify as a team. So they have all those intangibles, man, and every single last one of them are true to Saskatchewan. So you love to see it.
I know that there's no token spots on this roster. The talent has to be there, but we produce some pretty good football players in this province.
Look at the roster. It's incredible,
I know.
Right? I started breaking it down. Mitchell Picton, Daniel Weeb, Deshaun Mims. That's the receivers from Saskatchewan. Then defensively, you've got Jackson Ford kicking around, right? Then you can give an honorable mention to Tavon Campbell, who played at the U of R, as well as Nelson Lecombo. Give an honorable mention to Nick Weeb, who's from Alberta and played for the U of S Huskies. All, again, did their formative development here in Saskatchewan. Logan Furland on the offensive line from Saskatchewan. So you may get tired of hearing that, but boy, the Saskatchewan Roughriders have supported grassroots football in a lot of different ways, most recently with that $1.3 million contribution. But boy, is it paying off. And it's kind of similar to some hockey stories you hear, right? Daniel Weeb, for example, he grew up in Rosetown. They didn't have enough players to have two teams. So what do? Well, you enter in the Saskatoon League. So you're driving, the 110 kilometers one way to get into Saskatoon to play a game. So it's intriguing. They're all too young then to stop by the Red Zone Sports Bar to take in their daily specials of the 69-cent wings, but they could have. You like that one?
Dave, that was a hitch screen that just went 25 yards for a touchdown. How you beautifully put that in there.
I'm still hoping for delivery. I'm not going to kid you.
Okay. High expectations coming out of, because he was injured when he got drafted and eventually made it on the field, talking about Nick Weeb, and then he gets hurt again. It's year two. When you're drafted that high, there are expectations. There's no way around it. How has Nick Weeb looked in this training? Is he better? Is he 100%? And how is he performing?
He's 100% is what he told me. The Riders are playing it cautious with him, right? He retweaked the knee last year, and they don't want that to happen. So they've been cautious with him. They've been limiting his reps a little bit, but he's playing on special teams. He's running full steam. He's making plays when he has an opportunity. But that linebacker room, I was going to say mess, but that's the wrong word. Like, the depth at linebacker that this team has in camp right now is absolutely off the chart. Like, there are going to be so many difficult decisions to figure out who's going to play linebacker for this team. Because you got to think, right? Jameer Thurman, although he's a little nicked up right now, right? He missed yesterday's training camp session. So Jameer Thurman, you got to know he's a lock. CJ Revis, who's become one of the most vocal leaders on defense for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and maybe, in my humble opinion, one of the most underestimated defenders in the Canadian Football League. So you know that he's got a spot. And then you've got the other spot at linebacker, and there's so many great options, right? Like CJ Avery. You've got AJ Allen that have both played that position. And then you've got other guys like Braxton Hills, who's come in and done everything that you could imagine that he would do, right? Like, then you've got guys that are returning as well. So that linebacking group, boy, is it deep, but boy, is it going to be hard to choose. I didn't even mention Antoine Brooks Jr.
Well, one guy in his time was limited, but when he did play, he seemed to play well, had a great camp. Malik Straker. Nothing but potential and upside for a guy like that. And he's Canadian. Like, you can't, when you're flipping ratio, and said, you've got to have those linebackers, you've got to have that depth, and if you can have some Canadian ones. So I think it lines up there. I think probably, and maybe it's not going to be a secret anymore, the Roland Milligan, shadow that he casts, because he's so good and he's so dominant on that Rider defense. Like you said, the Averys and the Revises or whatever maybe don't get the run in the media that they should. We know how good they are because Milligan is just such next level good that we know what we have. I don't necessarily know that all the other offensive coaches know who else is out there besides Milligan. Because you can't just stay away from Milligan. You're staying away from other guys as well now, too. And, and if Milligan can just pick up where he left off last year and everybody else is following that lead. On the Thurman front, are you worried? Do you think he would play Friday, or is he going to be one of the vets that maybe isn't going to be dressing against the Bombers?
I don't know whether or not he will or won't dress. I can't give you any great insight. I've been trying to read Coach Mace all week long to get an idea of what he might put out on the field on Friday, because he is very obviously meticulous in his preparation, right? He wants this team to be performing, and I was going to say at its peak, but no, he wants to be right where he wants them to be. He wants them to be performing on the same page and ready to go come week one, which all of a sudden is 8 nights from now, right? Like, we are 8 days away from the regular season opening. So I don't know how much he needs to see to be convinced that everybody's ready to go, but Jameer Thurman has been excellent. I would expect nothing less. So, to me,
especially if he's a little dinged, I get it. We don't need to. I mean, it's Jameer Thurman. If you're gonna give other guys, how's Joe Coach been? The punter that was brought back. Have we seen anything from practice? Where is he? Do you think he's gonna get some reps on Friday night? I mean,
absolutely. Bailey Flint and Joe Coach, I can almost guarantee you they'll both be kicking the football.
Yeah, I mean, you can't not have a great kicker you can't not have a great punter in the CFL these days. Mm-hmm. Such a critical piece of flipping the field. And remember, for the longest time, when sometimes the Riders necessarily didn't, or they had guys that maybe didn't know how to play the conditions properly, and just what a hole that can put you in. Game in, gate out. And that when you're switching at quarters, it could be like, oh no, we're done for. But it seems they've addressed that. So, Flint had a rough game. There's no doubt about it. But do you give him the start on Friday night, or do you let Coach go at it and maybe take the pressure off and then put Flint in for the second half, or however they're going to split it up?
I don't know how they're going to split it up. If I was to guess, my best educated guess would be that Bailey Flint will punt at least the first half, maybe even the third quarter, depending how it goes. Because the rough game that he had, the better adjective is inconsistent, right? He'd fire a great one and a not so great one off the side of his foot. And Coach said, well, sorry, cough there. let everyone know. Basically, what Coach said is that he was nervous, and he could feel his nerves going in. And so he's quite concerned about the nerves because he hadn't played in a couple of years, right? The last time he kicked was in 23 with Hamilton. So Bailey Flint had some nerves, and he had a lot on his mind, right? Not only going out and punting the football, he also had to be keeping mindful of making sure he was ready to hold a kick for Brett Lothar. So Bailey Flint had a lot on his mind. I can see him coming out and being given every opportunity to succeed, and then find out what you have with Joe Couch afterwards.
Who are the top 2 DNs from last Saturday in Winnipeg? If Malik Carney is a lock on one side, and Luke said you got to find the other side, who were your top 2 last week?
Haba Baldonado was getting a lot of play there this week.
Okay.
And again, that's an interesting move and great on Haba because it just shows the progression that he's had over the last couple of years in Saskatchewan, right after coming from Pitt. He is one that's definitely stood out and is making a case for it. Eric Black is a name to consider, as is Aaron Patrick. Whether they're all playing the end or not, there's going to be a rotation there, and it's going to be a solid group. And it's interesting because one of the knocks that I kept hearing over and over and over again about the Saskatchewan Roughriders in 2024 was their inability to pressure the quarterback. Well, if you look at the Pro Football Focus stats, the Saskatchewan Roughriders actually led the Canadian Football League in quarterback pressures, 303 over the 18-game regular season schedule, with Malik Carney getting the most out of anybody in the CFL. With his win percentage, so of course, right, if you win your battle on the offensive line or at the line of scrimmage, you get a plus, right? And he was at 17.6%, which is pretty darn good. So I'm curious because, like I said, the knock, the perceived knock, as I use air quotes, is that the Riders couldn't get pressure with just a 4-man front. The numbers from PFF would dispute that.
All right, Dave Thomas, voice of the Riders, will wrap the preseason. It's going to be a nice night for football, sunny and 24 at kickoff. The Bombers are coming to town. That means the 620 CKOM Cooperators Rider Broadcast Network pregame show will start Friday at 4, so it's an abbreviated Sportscage, only an hour of Barney. And then we turn it over to football, and kickoff goes just after 7. Right here, we're going to take a break, come back. Nick Elberga, the Golden Muzzy, is standing by. It's the voice, the home of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, 620 CKRM.
Way to go, Travis Kelce. I mean, son. As fun as it is watching your 5-year-old run the wrong way or pick dandelions on the football field, what if I told you you could watch your favorite sports or shows on the go anywhere? Well, you can with MaxStream TV from Echo Sound, your SaskTel authorized dealer. Take MaxStream anywhere you go. Oh, wrong way, buddy. MaxStream and great internet plans available at Echo Sound, your SaskTel authorized dealer in Fort Capel, echosound.ca.
You know them as TM Auctions, but Terry McDougall and Tam Kostanek would like to introduce their new name, McBids. Now known as McBids, they will continue to proudly serve Saskatchewan. With over 50 years combined experience in the auction and appraisal industry, experience, trust, and transparency are words they live by, and they will continue to do so as they invite you to join them as they continue their journey as McBids. Give them a call at 306-262-6327 or visit McBids.ca. McBids, same trusted team, bold new brand.
Another one bites the dust? What a weird saying. Are they swallowing the dust? And why is it so dusty in the first place? So many questions. But what I don't question is where I get my tires. When your vehicle needs the right tires, see your local Cooper Tire dealer. Your local Cooper Tire dealer carries Cooper Cobra Instinct tires. They bring your car to a shorter stop on wet roads and have decisive maneuvering and sporty performance. Dust yourself off and ask your local Cooper Tire dealer about Cooper Cobra Instinct tires today.
So, since that little ding on my car last week, I don't know where to take it. I don't even know.
That's easy. Take it to Regina Motor Products.
Who said that?
I did. Down here. I'm Terry the Tire. Regina Motor Products Chevrolet Collision Center and SGI accredited auto body repair is a full-service collision and body shop that works on all makes and models. Just submit your claim to SGI and set an appointment to get your appraisal done. Easy.
I bet you're tired after saying all that.
South at Highway 1 and 6, Albert Street. RMPChevrolet.com.
If you have a garage door that's running a little rough, you should really have Busy Bee Doors, the garage door specialists, come out and repair it, or it may need to be replaced altogether. Yeah, just call Busy Bee Doors, the local experts who have been in the business for many, many years, because they can fix or replace any commercial or garage door.
Honey, calling Busy Bee.
Good idea. Busy Bee Doors, the garage door specialists.
Hi, I'm Rob O'Connor, show director for Ag in Motion. I'm proud that our outdoor farm show is an annual celebration of Saskatchewan's agriculture industry. The show brings our community together for 3 days to share the best of livestock, machinery, crops, and technology. Everyone is welcome. Taking place near Langham, Saskatchewan, from July 15th to 17th. Go online to aginmotion.ca to get your tickets and learn what's in store this year.
What the hail just happened? Might be some of the words you say after a hailstorm. But then you breathe and remember, you have Co-op Hail Insurance. They protect your revenue with hail insurance coverage at affordable rates. And no concerns should it come time to pay your claim after that hailstorm. And they pay your adjusted claim quickly. Co-op Hail, a trusted insurance partner providing industry-leading customer service. Contact your local Co-op Hail agent or for convenience and to save even more, use their online buy direct option at coophail.com.
Text CKRM 306-936-6262. Powered by Prairie Land Rentals. From skid steers to tents to power tools, anything you need to rent for that spring or summer job is at Prairie Land Rentals. Deal with the owner. 600 Albert Street. Back to Sportscage. Text 306-936-6262. 620 CKRM.
The Sportscage is for Regina Motor Products. The RMP Spring Tire Campaign is on now until Saturday. You can drop in to receive up to $120 in instant rebates on select brands. Visit RMP today. It's Maz in for Barney hosting the Sportscage, and let's go out on the Western Pizza guest hotline and bring in Nick Elberga from Leafs Morning Take. He's the Golden Muzzy. We had Nick on before the playoffs started, and LeafsNation.com is what he does, but he picked the Edmonton Oilers to win the Stanley Cup, and then with everything that happened with Toronto and then all of the meltdown. So first of all, Nick, thank you for coming back on. My first question is how are we doing emotionally? Because it's been an intense 2 weeks to be a Leaf fan.
Yeah, crappy. Really, really crappy stuff. Am I surprised? Am I shocked? Probably not, because this is how the season ends every year for the Maple Leafs. It doesn't matter if they're the best team in the NHL. It doesn't matter if they're the 10th best team. They're going to find a way to let you down, and that's exactly what transpired. So we'll see what Brad Treliving has to say in his end-of-season podium tomorrow. But yeah, just thoroughly disappointed, especially when you look at what the Florida Panthers are doing right now. They're up 3-1 here on Carolina.
Word came out a couple days after the season was done that Mitch Marner was offered the largest contract in Toronto Maple Leaf history, but we've never been able to nail down a number. Do you have any idea what that number potentially was? I mean, it's all rumor.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up, because I was actually out for dinner last night and was talking to somebody who's pretty close to the situation. I don't know where that rumor came from. From the best of what I know, it never happened. There was never an offer that was formally submitted to Mitch Marner. So, because I think if you get to the realm, yeah, I know I was shocked too, because I was under the belief that there was a point in time this season where the Maple Leafs coined an offer. To the best of my knowledge, again, they have not. And, it's in the realm where I think you would have to think at some point in time you submit an offer, you had submitted an offer, and it was close enough where the player would think about, but there was never any noise around it. So, yeah, that's what I can tell you. It never really happened.
I have two crazy theories, and one of them I didn't even know you and I shared the same opinion on, and I'll get to that in a sec. So with Marner not moving his no trade and just with everything going down, I was thinking, is this payback to the Leafs for how he was treated in the Babcock years, and nobody really did anything about it? Potentially. And then the second crazy theory I had at the start of the year, and then you put out a picture on Twitter, I thought, if Connor McDavid helps the Edmonton Oilers win the Stanley Cup, is it mission accomplished in Edmonton? And being that him and his wife are both from Ontario, he's got his cup in Edmonton, does he come back and join the Leafs and save them and win the cup, and then really go down in hockey infamy and Toronto Maple Leaf history as the guy that saved the franchise that won the first one since '67? Am I crazy on this?
I don't think you are. I've asked a lot of people. Some people are convinced that he's signing. Some people are convinced that he's not sure what he's going to do. But I think it's a really good point to bring up. Like, you win the Stanley Cup, you're not from Edmonton. With the due respect to Edmonton and Alberta, a great place. But do you want to spend your entire career in Edmonton? Okay, that's not a shot at the city of Edmonton, but there's better areas if you're a superstar player to play hockey. If you win a Stanley Cup, I mean, it's
you're
all
good.
you have to accomplish. Yeah, you're good, and so
You're good.
that's the only part I would come from. Not to mention, he's the type of player, like, if you're not signing on July 1, then what are you doing? There isn't a negotiation when it comes to Connor McDavid. You put a blank check in front of you and say, how much do you want? Sign, and we'll do it right now. So the longer it goes on in the offseason, to answer your question, the more I think it becomes a bigger story. But if Edmonton wins the Cup, I mean, the blowback won't be as harsh, clearly.
And people say, well, Leon's there and he just signed. But also, too, and I'm going to take a shot. Keep in mind, I have relatives there and I'm allowed to do this. And I spent a lot of time there. Leon played in Prince Albert. So Edmonton and Prince Albert, he's living in New York City compared to where he played junior hockey. So maybe Leon is completely fine with that. But I think Connor, because his wife is an entrepreneur, she's a designer, she's opening restaurants and bistros and all of this. And there's probably a better scene, I would think, in Toronto or in other places. Okay, so I'm not crazy. Oiler fans, maybe that's not what you hear, but we're saying he has to win the Cup in Edmonton before he can check out with a clear conscience, because I don't think that he would do that. So we'll get to that series in a sec. Tonight, it's going to be Game 5, Carolina, Florida. Were you surprised that Carolina was able to push back the other game and actually win one against the Panthers?
No, I think the major reason, there was no Sam Reinhart, there was no Mikkola. AJ Greer has made a significant impact in the bottom six, and the Canes are a good team. I think not enough credit is being given, and the same conversation could be had about the Maple Leaf series to the Florida Panthers. There's a reason why they won the Stanley Cup last year. You can make the wager. You can state that their decor is better this year than it was last year. So I think from that perspective, I'm not shocked Florida's got a commanding lead, and I like the fact that Carolina bounced back. The season was on the line. They played their best game, and it almost still wasn't good enough. That's what scares the hell out of me going into Game 5 tonight.
Would you agree that the Leafs series changed for Florida when Paul Maurice rebuilt his fourth line and put AJ Greer and Rajovic in the lineup together? Because we saw the other game, he didn't play. Those depth fourth liners are coming through for Florida again.
You got to roll all four lines. I mean, there's so many examples of that in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Even look at the Edmonton Oilers. I think they're eating Dallas's depth alive. And then you look at the bottom six, just way better than every team, I think, remaining. But I was there the game that they inserted AJ Greer, and he actually took a bad penalty in the second period in that game, and it led, I believe, to a Maple Leaf power play goal. But the big story was that he scored in the third period in that game, and they started getting secondary scoring and tertiary scoring. And when you're helping the big boys, I think that goes a long way this time of year, especially now with Reinhart banged up. But you're helping Barkov, you're helping Verhaeghe, Marchand's on your third line. Like, that third line's been incredible for the Panthers, at Luosterainen, Lindell, and Marchand. It just opens up way more depth. I think from a matchup standpoint, too, it's very, very scary.
You mentioned Marchand, and maybe I never paid close attention, but he seems to be putting on a masterclass of how to be a third line guy. Like, you can't get the puck away from him. He's stealing pucks off other sticks. He's just doing everything right. And if he's eating blizzards in between periods, I think I love this guy even more. Who doesn't love a good blizzard? Maybe not playing sports, but yeah, I know.
Oh, man. I that's the first thing. I'm like, finally, I agree with something Brad Marchand says, considering what he said following the Leafs series. Big fan growing up and all that stuff. But yeah, like, DQ blizzards are the best. And certainly, I think Marchand deserves a lot of credit for accepting the role. Like, let's not forget, this guy has been a bona fide star for a good chunk of the last decade, has been the captain of the Boston Bruins, has won, has been successful. And now you go and your world's, put upside down around the trade deadline, and pretty much Boston tells you they don't want to pay you. They don't want you there anymore. You go to a fresh new franchise, and I think you credit Bill Zito and for the Panthers. They always seem to identify the right players that fit into the puzzle, so to speak. Seth Jones, that was a huge pickup. but then you add Marchand, and he's accepted his role as a third liner. I mean, there's a lot of divas, a lot of example of that in pro sports, never mind the NHL, NBA, whatever sport. This guy deserves a lot of credit for accepting his role. He does it a lot with the national team all the time with Team Canada. He did it at the Four Nations yet again. Knows his role and plays it to a T. And that's been a huge story for me when you look at Florida, why they've had success is, the top six has been good, but that third line has been incredible. Just a matchup nightmare for the opposition.
Nick Elberga is joining us on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline. He's the Golden Muzzy on social media from Leafs Morning Take. All right. Two things about playoff hockey. Hit anything that moves whenever you can because you never know what it's going to do, and take any shot you can on net because you never know when it's going to get in. And last night, an innocent hit, looked innocent by Mason Marchment. Next thing you know, Zach Hyman has surgery today, and he is done for the playoffs. As someone who picked the Oilers to win the Cup, Hyman and Perry, to me, have been their two best players. Nothing against McDavid and Draisaitl. They do what they do. But the two most effective players have been Hyman and Perry. Now you're missing Hyman. Next man up on the depth chart, because you're going to need it. Hyman's been incredible for the Oilers in the playoffs so far this year.
Major blow. Major blow. Having said that, don't forget, Matthias Ekholm has not played a game. Everybody counted and ruled the Edmonton Oilers out before the postseason even started. Didn't start great. They lose the first two games to the LA Kings, and look what they've done ever since. I think they've won 11 of the past 13 games. I'm under the impression I think they're going to rally around this. It's next man up. It has to be, whether it's Victor Arvidsson or Jeff Skinner or Trent Frederick, who they brought in from the Boston Bruins, Adam Henrique, somebody, a veteran, I don't care who it is, needs to elevate. Those are big shoes to fill. And I think, to your point, it's the supplementary pieces. What you're going to get from McDavid. You know what you're going to get for Draisaitl. Nugent Hopkins has been good. You look at the leaderboard in terms of stats for the top five, all Edmonton Oilers. It shows you why they're in this position up 3-1 here against the Dallas Stars. But I think they have to take that approach they took with Ekholm, us against the world, and now apply it moving forward. You have 5 more games to win. Unfortunately, it's going to be without Zach Hyman, one of their better players. But I think if there is a team of the 4 remaining, that could withstand a shot like that, it's probably the Oilers, because going into the playoffs, I thought their depth was going to be a huge sell point as to why I thought they'd win the Stanley Cup. And lo and behold, it's been a big story here.
All right, we'll wrap on this. You would pick the Oilers to win the Cup. Let's say they do end up playing the Florida Panthers. I think even the puck money, everybody's got those two together. How many games and how does it play out for the Oilers to win this Cup?
I will go with 7 games again. I think it's going to be an evenly matched series. I'm already under the opinion it's going to happen. I just think Florida's going to win tonight, or they're going to win in Game 6. I just don't see either team coming back. I don't think Dallas has anything left, getting nothing from the third line. And the big story is Stuart Skinner. You're getting saves, and that'll be sort of the big topic point for me in a potential rematch in the Stanley Cup final. If Stuart Skinner continues to play this way, where he's locked in and making the saves he needs to make, I think the Oilers win the Stanley Cup. I'm a firm believer in a team of destiny. I do think there's a lot of heat right now around the Florida Panthers. They're really, really good. Don't get me wrong. It just feels like it's McDavid's time. I think you look back at my perfect example I like to bring up is 07, 08, 09, those 2 years when Detroit and Pittsburgh got together. Sidney Crosby's first crack at the Stanley Cup, loses in year 1 to Detroit, bounces back. He learns from that, wins in year 2. And that's exactly what I think happens this year for the Edmonton Oilers. I think they climb that summit and they beat the Florida Panthers. And the start's going to be everything. Don't forget, this year's Stanley Cup final will be slightly different if there is a rematch. The Oilers will have home ice advantage, of course. All
right. Nick Elberga, thanks. Gold once again. If you're out buying a Leafs McDavid jersey, maybe grab one for me too. And we'll say you heard it here first. All right, go Panthers, go Oilers. All right, the Sportscage continues in a minute. The Medicine Hat Tigers have made their way to the Memorial Cup final on Sunday. We'll dive into that in just a sec. This is the Sportscage on the home of local sports in Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM.
Rider Nation lives on 620 CKRM. I'm Dave Thomas, voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Friday is game day as the Riders take on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Countdown to kickoff with Justin Dunk and Tegan Whitco is at 4. The pregame show's at 6, and kickoff with Luke Mullender and I is at 7. Saskatchewan Roughriders football on the Cooperators Rider Broadcast Network is brought to you by Young's Equipment, GMS Insurance, and PlayNow.com. Stream every moment of Rider football at Sportscage.com.
When you want the best for your truck, you want Line-X. Your truck has withstood the harshest elements Saskatchewan has thrown at it. Rocks, gravel, rain, sleet, and snow, and left with no chips, no rust. Line-X protective coating keeps your truck's bed liners, rocker panels, and bumpers looking like brand new. Don't settle for Brand X. Go with Line-X. It's serious protection. Come see why everybody loves taking their truck to Line-X Regina for their rocker panels, bumpers, and more. Line-X. Make your truck complete. 1865 McCarra Street.
It's Community Culture Night as the Saskatchewan Roughriders face the Winnipeg Blue Bombers May 30th at 7 p.m., presented by First Nations University of Canada. A light will shine on the people, traditions, and cultures that make Rider Nation unique, beginning with the Coors Light Party in the park. Enjoy various displays, including a traditional teepee as part of the pregame festivities. Halftime features a special show starring performers from the Mosaic Cultural Festival. Celebrate the start of a new season with an unforgettable night of unity and pride. It's Community Culture Night as the Riders welcome the Bombers May 30th at 7 p.m.
So, since that little ding on my car last week, I don't know where to take it.
I don't even know. That's easy. Take it to Regina Motor Products.
Who said that?
I did. Down here. I'm Terry the Tire. Regina Motor Products Chevrolet Collision Center and SGI accredited auto body repair is a full-service collision and body shop that works on all makes and models. Just submit your claim to SGI and set an appointment to get your appraisal done. Easy.
I bet you're tired after saying all that.
South at Highway 1 and 6, Albert Street. RMPChevrolet.com.
Hi there, we're the Fox family.
Nice to meet you.
Hey.
Hello.
Hi. We have a great little den out back of your property. There's lots of room for the pups to roam and have fun, but it's no fun finding old filters and puddles of oil. I just want to let you know that in Saskatchewan, recycling is easier than making a waste pile out back. There are nearly 200 year-round collection points throughout the province. Make your waste reuseful. It's better for your family, my family, and for all our friends in the bush. Learn more at usedoilrecyclingsk.com.
Back in 1985, the Breakfast Club all sat on the floor.
Don't you ever talk about my floors. You don't know any of my floors. You don't look at any of my floors. Just bury your head in the floor and wait for your prom.
I hate this floor.
Yeah? Good.
Luckily, today, Flooring Superstore has everything you want. Their stock is immediately available with professional installation for residential or commercial spaces. Flooring Superstore. Quality floor covering at the best price. FlooringSuperstoreRegina.ca.
When you have big jobs on the go this year that's going to have you doing some cutting, always head to Prairie Line Rental for everything Husqvarna. Husqvarna is a trusted dealer with everything from chainsaws, robot and regular mowers, trimmers, blowers, and more. You'll get everything you need to get done with Husqvarna equipment just from Prairie Land. You won't need to go anywhere else and deal directly with the owner. They appreciate your local business. They'll even deliver big equipment. Prairie Line Rental, 600 Albert Street. PrairieLineRental.com.
It's time for the Sports Ticker, brought to you by Reliance Heath Water Heater Rentals. For all your hot water needs, call on Reliance Heath today.
Medicine Hat Tigers have punched their ticket to the Memorial Cup final on Sunday with a 3-1 win last night over the London Knights. They went 3-0 in the round robin. Tonight, Rimouski Oceanic taking on the Moncton Wildcats. Face-off there goes at 5. NHL Eastern Conference Final, Florida Panthers, Carolina Hurricanes. That's Game 5. Face-off there goes, it's Game 4. No, it's Game 5. Face-off there goes at 6. In the Major League Baseball, the Jays taking on the Texas Rangers. First pitch tonight, just after 6 o'clock.
We are 620 CKRM, a Harvard media station, broadcasting live from downtown Regina.
It's 4 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Corey Atkinson from the SaskToday.ca newsroom with your 620 CKRM news. The Royal Canadian Legion in Saskatchewan has cancelled several events planned by a group called Unified Grassroots, which has publicly supported separating from Canada if the province can't get a new deal from Ottawa. Chad Wagner, Executive Director of the Legion in the province, says the group's comments don't support Canadian unity and go against the Legion's principles. Unified Grassroots had planned to hold 8 meetings at Legions across Saskatchewan. The group says its events were meant to encourage public discussion and asked the Legion to reconsider the cancellations. The Regina Police Service added biometric technology to its detention cells to help protect detainees' health. These cells use radar signals to track small changes in breathing, alerting staff to medical emergencies. Staff Sergeant Dave Kleiman says many lives have been saved. In one case, the technology caught signs of cardiac arrest just 10 minutes after a woman was taken into custody. She was revived twice and survived. The RPS says the new technology has proven its value. Residents in the communities of Flin Flon, Manitoba, and the neighboring town of Creighton, Saskatchewan, have been told that they might need to leave on a moment's notice due to a nearby wildfire. Creighton Mayor Bruce Fiddler says the town has told people to pack essentials and fill up on gas.
It's getting a little stressful. The winds are in our favor right now, blowing the smoke away and holding the fire away from the community. But winds can change and are predicted to change in the next day or two.
Manitoba fire officials say hospital patients in Flin Flon are being moved to safety, and they've asked recreation centres and private businesses to lend a hand. Defense Minister David McGuinty says Canada will focus on what it can control for national security as U.S. President Donald Trump reignites 51st state talk. The president said on social media that it would cost Canada $61 billion to join his proposed Golden Dome missile defense program, but it would be free if Canada became a state. The president suggests that Canada is considering the offer, but McGuinty says he hasn't seen any kind of concrete dollar figure for joining the Golden Dome.
I'm not in a position to evaluate the numbers. We're going to bring a budget out in the fall. And when we bring the budget out in the fall, we'll have a lot more to say about what we're going to do.
Prime Minister Mark Carney says that Canada will never negotiate in public when asked about the president's comments. And Heritage Regina is launching its biggest summer yet with walking tours and events from June to August. 7 different walking tours will explore both familiar and new places in the city. Highlights include the 1912's cyclone's impact on the wholesale district and Hillsdale's 70th anniversary. Other tours explore Lakeview, Germantown, downtown Fossils, and Wascana Centre. The group also offers Wascana Cultural Trailway programming and guided boat tours. More details are available at heritageregina.ca and on their social media pages. That is your 620 CKRM News. Read more stories from around your community and around the province at sasktoday.ca and 620ckrm.com. Your weather is next.
Johnston's Logistics. That's the name for your truck freight forwarding needs. They offer you the best quotes in the industry on bulk hopper, deck, van, and reefer shipping within Canada and into the United States. Next time you're looking for a freight rate to haul grain or fertilizer, think Johnston's. Next time you're looking for a rate to move a piece of machinery, think Johnston's. Next time you're looking to move van or reefer cargo, you know the name, Johnston's. For a highly competitive quote, call 844-324-7778.
Oh, Canada. We brave the cold. We embrace the seasons. And at Aero Plumbing, Heating and Air, we take pride in every home we heat and cool, with units proudly made right here in Canada.
Aero Plumbing, Heating and Air's reliable, homegrown, Canadian-based service is built for our weather and built for you. Stay cozy, stay cool, and save money with non-tariffed Canadian-made units. Visit aeroplumbing.ca.
Straight shooters, we're straight shooters. Aero Plumbing, Heating and Air.
Your 620 CKRM weather forecast is brought to you by Linex Regina. Serious protection. Killer looks at 1865 McCarra Street. Tonight, clear down to 16. Tomorrow, sunny and hot. A high of 28. For Friday, sunny, 24. Saturday, 28. Sunday, sunny and a high of 30. And for Monday, sunny and a high of 24. Right now, sunshine and 27 degrees in downtown Regina.
When you want the best for your truck, you want Line-X. Your truck has withstood the harshest elements Saskatchewan has thrown at it. Rocks, gravel, rain, sleet, and snow, and left with no chips, no rust. Line-X protective coating keeps your truck's bed liners, rocker panels, and bumpers looking like brand new. Don't settle for Brand X. Go with Line-X. It's serious protection. Come see why everybody loves taking their truck to Line-X Regina for their rocker panels, bumpers, and more. Line-X. Make your truck complete. 1865 McCarra Street.
Sask Lotteries has 50 years of winning behind us. And you know what that means? Lots of winning numbers. Numbers like over 1,200 organizations funded and 12,000 plus groups supported. $6 million given away annually in community grants. And the winningest number of all? $1.4 billion given back to the people of Saskatchewan through sport, culture, and recreation. And we're just getting started. Help us grow the next 50. Learn more at sasklotteries.ca.
Broadcasting from Century Studios in downtown Regina, Harvard Media presents The Sports Cage, where Saskatchewan comes to talk local sports. Brought to you by Regina Motor Products, proudly serving Saskatchewan for over 70 years. Visit rnpchevrolet.com today. Be part of the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262. The Sports Cage. Streaming at sportscage.com, our YouTube channel, and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
After last night's dominant win by the Edmonton Oilers, our Twitter poll question today, is there any chance that either the Dallas Stars or the Carolina Hurricanes mount epic comebacks in their series and move on and make it to the Stanley Cup final? Surprisingly, there are a lot of delusional Hurricane and Stars fans paying attention to our Twitter feed or our X feed. 56% of people saying so far, I think, yeah, it can happen. Or vice versa. I thought it would have been like 90-10. Tonight, it's game number 5, Florida Panthers, Carolina Hurricanes. Apparently, the magic sauce here for the Panthers is a whole bunch of them went to a Dairy Queen in Caroline Raleigh before either game 1 or 2. Last night, there's a picture snapped. Brad Marchand and the crew back at the Dairy Queen. That was the juju they needed to go up by 2 games. So it's 3-1. I think it's just a matter of time. Hey, thanks to Nick Elberga from Leafs Morning Take. We just had him on last hour. A couple of things that we discovered. Apparently, the Marner offered the largest contract in Toronto Maple Leaf history, but turned down. Wasn't true. Total fabrication. Curtis Colson, the Double C's, running things at Century Studios. We got duped by stuff we read on the internet. But I thought this was funny. We both had the crazy theory, and I mentioned this on the show. If McDavid were to win a cup, and it's mission complete in Edmonton, there's no guilt. It's going to be a free agent. He could leave. He could go anywhere. Why not go to Toronto, save the franchise, and really become a hero? Colson? It's not crazy. Money's money. If the Leafs offer him $20 million as opposed to Edmonton's 15, what are you going to do?
Well, yeah, money's money. You're right there. I'm just still recovering from being duped by news on the internet. I have to rethink a lot of things now.
Oh, there's a whole bunch of things we were duped about today. I'm not sure if you paid attention to question period in the House of Commons today, not to get political. But the elbows were down, apparently, during the campaign when people said they were up. And now we're all going to pay the price. Curtis, do you have that picture of McDavid in a Leafs uniform? Look at this. It's already done. They already have him in Leafs gear. Ooh, and he scored a goal on the Habs. Ooh, salt in the wound, Habs fans. Just no respect. None. Connor McDavid, a Toronto Maple Leaf, if he wins the Stanley Cup. I think if they make it to the final, but they don't win, there's unfinished business. I totally get it. But does he want to stay his whole career in Edmonton? I don't know. He's from Toronto. His wife's from there. Everybody's going to throw a boat. As Nick said, it's going to be a blank check. Whatever he wants. But if they win this year, that curse from 67, you could be the person that breaks that streak. You're already going to be a hockey hero. Probably going to end up in the Hockey Hall of Fame. But if you could go and save the Toronto Maple Leafs as an Ontario kid, let's equate this to Curtis and Colson. Am I crazy here? Let's say you're a Saskatchewan kid and you got a chance to come in and be the hero for the Saskatchewan Roughriders and be that person that puts them over the top, that wins them a bunch of Grey Cups. I think you take that all day long.
Do you mean,
I don't think there's any...
Do you mean Jackson Ford on Labor Day last year?
Sure.
It's kind of the best example we have.
Sure. There was nothing cooler because even last year at dinner with doubles at Casino Regina, when he was asked about, at the end of the game, handing the ball off to Neil Hughes, who apparently his nickname is White Chocolate, to kill the clock, and watching him just bust off run. I don't know how he got that nickname, but I chuckled to White Chocolate. Run after run. It was hard not to get emotional thinking about that, like Neil Hughes, like a guy like that, to be like, and he's winding it down. And then the cup. And then the McCullough story of how he got into the Grey Cup photo with Dressler and Durant, so he can be etched in history. And how he made all that happen. If we do that again, I swear, if Mike McCullough is gracious enough to come back, we say, Mike, you get 10 minutes to do a stand-up routine. There's a microphone. There is no guidelines, no buffer. Just go. We'll tell you when your 10 minutes are up. And if it's good, keep going. He's hilarious.
I've met Mike a few times doing the Rider broadcast, and yeah, every time enjoy talking with him. Funny guy.
This McDavid thing. Okay, now I'm not an Oiler fan. I'm a hockey fan, not necessarily. Is it bad juju or karma to start chanting, "We want the cup"? Because remember when Leafs fans were chanting, "We want Florida"? Like, is that bad? Remember, Oiler fans, it was really tough last year in early June. There was a lot of heartache and pain. Are you prepared for that?
I think it's a poor decision by anybody, fans, players. Like, you have to be kind of like already the obvious pick in your conference division, whatever you're playing in the playoffs. So to be saying, oh yeah, we want these guys because we know they'll give us a good fight or whatever. Because like I remember it in the COVID year in the NFL, I can't remember the team at all, but there is the one defensive lineman who comes running off the field after they win their game. And he's like, give us the Bucks. We want Tom Brady. And I was like, no, you don't. No, you don't.
Baby, keep it. Well, a couple of things from last night's Oiler game. Eric Francis inside the NHL. He's going to be joining us here in just a sec. He's been covering the games in Edmonton. I'm not sure if he's on his way to Dallas, but I think I just saw something from him. He's going to be ready to go here in just a couple of secs. Two things from last night. One, I haven't seen any fights on Edmonton social media from the Moss Pit, which is great. Stop beating each other up. You're cheering for the same team. How can you have four guys all wearing McDavid jerseys just beating the hell out of each other? Stop. The other thing on the more serious front, Zach Hyman. When it happened, Mason Marchment, it looked like a bit of an innocent hit. He skated directly off the ice, right arm dragging. We find out today from Chris Knobloch, he's already had surgery. He's done. So if the Oilers are going on to the Stanley Cup final and going to try and win one, it's without arguably one of their best players in Zach Hyman. And I would say that the other best player that the Oilers have, dude's an ageless wonder, Corey Perry. 40 and effective. Colson, Curtis, I would say Corey Perry, not a passenger, according to Austin Matthews. You two and me on the show could be passengers.
No
Corey
comments.
Perry, not so.
Do you think they could bring Shaq Hyman to step in for Zach or
Shaq Hyman? I love when Shaq starts talking hockey, and I love when Charles Barkley starts talking hockey because there he is right there. It's great. Look at Colby Armstrong. I love Colby. That's a big blow. The Oilers' depth is going to be tested once again. It's so funny. Now, Skinner's let in, 2 goals in the past 86 shots or something like that. He's not even an issue. Where a couple of weeks ago, he was the only issue. All right, let's take a quick break here. We're going to connect with Eric Francis. We're going to go inside the NHL for Southie Mainline Chrysler. Stand by. You haven't missed that. We'll do that in a sec. We have some more Rider coverage coming up. Today was the last official day of training camp per se, because tomorrow is a walkthrough getting ready for Friday's game. And we've got some observations of what went down in camp. All right. We'll take a break. As always, if you want to be part of the show, Prairieland Rentals text line 306-936-6262. Always love when you jump in. Got questions? Love to know. What are you thinking? How are you feeling with these final two series? They've been kind of blowouts out of the way. It hasn't been great hockey. Prairieland Rentals text line, from skid steers to tents to power tools, anything you need to rent for that spring or summer job is at Prairieland Rentals. Deal with the owner at 600 Albert Street. Time for a quick timeout on the cage. We're streaming on X at Sportscage and on the home of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, 620 CKRM.
The Country Music Rewind with Colin Lovequist.
Let's take you back in time to the year 1993. A lot of great things were happening. Some big hits on the charts from Colin Ray, Shania Twain, and many more. We'll feature them this coming weekend on Crawford's No Frills Country Music Rewind.
The Country Music Rewind with Colin Lovequist. Brought to you by Crawford's No Frills. Saturday afternoons at 4 and Sunday afternoons at 1 on Country's Greatest Hits. 620 CKRM.
She was looking for fun in the sun. He wanted 2 for 1. Called a sassy tour de force that will change the way you look. This summer's biggest eyewear blockbuster is the You Pick the Sale sale at Future Vision.
Ooh, how do I choose?
Will she get a great deal on prescription sunglasses? Will he find 2 fashion frames for 1 low price? You Pick the Sale sale. Now playing at
Future Vision. Where'd you get those eyes?
a proud recipient of the Consumer's Choice Award 2024.
It'll be take me out to the ball game or take me down to the rink before you know it. And Extreme Hockey and Sport will have you ready for everything this season. You'll be all set for the ball diamond with team kits, bats, gloves, accessories, and training products in stock. And of course, they've got everything to get you geared up for spring hockey. Whatever your spring sport is, Extreme Hockey has you covered. 1425 McIntyre Street and the Pro Shop, conveniently located at the Cooperator Center.
Meet your new favorite shade of green. At Nick Service, we offer the Fendt 500 Vario Series tractor that's tailor-made for your farm. Get better stability, ease of use, and comfort with one tractor. Whether you're feeding, tilling, baling, or hauling, this series is built for your farm. Experience up to 163 horsepower with this multi-purpose tractor. Visit Nick Service in Emerald Park or go to nickservice.com to get a quote on the Fendt 500 Vario Series.
Employee pricing has arrived at Crestview Chrysler with the 100 Years in Canada event. That means $99 per week on a new 2025 Jeep Compass. Financing as low as 0% for 72 months on select Ram 1500s. Save up to $26,000 on the new Dodge Durango Hellcat. Or get into a new 2024 Dodge Hornet for as low as $38,995. Take your pick, boss. It's employee pricing. Only for a limited time at Crestview Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram.
Hey, we're Harvard Media. A few times a year, we love to get together with our favorite businesses and throw a good old-fashioned classic auction. There's nothing like waiting until the last minute, battling out other bidders, and claiming your prize. We're looking for businesses to join up for our next one. All we need from you is an experience, service, or item like a gift card. In return, we'll serve you up a top-tier ad campaign. No cash needed. This is a trade deal. Check out harvardmedia.com for info. Terms and conditions apply.
Man, I am in a good mood today.
I think the AC is broken.
Well, that was short-lived.
You never think about your AC until it breaks. Skipping routine maintenance can leave you hot, frustrated, and stuck with expensive repairs. Aero Plumbing, Heating, and Air can maintain your unit to make sure it's in tip-top shape for summer and keep you in a good mood. Visit aeroplumbing.ca.
Straight shooters, we're straight shooters. Aero Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
Now for Inside the NHL with Eric Francis on the Sports Cage. Inside the NHL is brought to you by Selfie Mainline Chrysler, the newest king of trucks. Worth the drive every time, guaranteed.
He's not a fourth liner, not in our books. He's not a depth guy. He's frontline center. He's our Corey Perry. He's our Zach Hyman. Oh, wait. Scratch that. Maybe the Perry, but not the Hyman. Eric Francis joining us. Eric, last night, the Dallas Stars, to me, I think, outside of the game they won, played the best game of the series. There was pushback. There was everything. But once again, they just cannot beat the Edmonton Oilers and that deadly power play. You were at the game. What did it feel like watching it as far as the Stars just seemed to, no matter what they did, the Oilers had an answer?
Yeah, I think the word futile comes to mind. It just seems so futile. That first period, Dallas had 39 shot attempts on net. That's the most in the NHL this season. In the postseason in terms of attempts. But 17 of them missed the net. Like, I really feel like Stuart Skinner is in their head. They got 16 shots on goal. That's good pressure. We all watched it. They dominated the period. Yet they leave the period down 1-0 because of a power play goal. And it just seems, like I say, so futile for them to just keep pressing, continually be rejected by Stuart Skinner, who knew that was a thing. And then when they did get great chances, it's like Skinner's so in their head that they're rushing shots and missing the net, and they hit the post on an empty netter, and you would expect it from a team other than Dallas. Dallas finished third in goal scoring this year. They've got depth coming out of the yin-yang, and yet right now nobody is able to solve Stuart Skinner. So, I'm sure like a lot of people watched that game last night, it certainly feels like that series is over. It felt like that after Game 3. But I guess you got to give the credit to the Stars for pushing as hard as they can. But at the end of the day, they're completely outclassed by the Oilers in this series.
The big story coming out of the game, not only did the Oilers win and have a chance with another win to move on to another Stanley Cup final, but what looked to be kind of just an innocent hit along the blue line, Mason Marchment, Zach Hyman. Immediately, Hyman, right arm drops straight to the bench, down the tunnel, and we find out today, shoulder surgery. He's done. Did you see the play? And if you did you know immediately that it wasn't good for Hyman?
Yes, and yes. I mean, I thought it was his shoulder, the way he just kind of slumped down. I think most people thought it was his shoulder, but there wasn't a person who left the rink last night who wasn't worried, thinking this is probably it for Zach Hyman. Like, I know when you get the definitive news today, and he actually has the surgery today on his wrist, there's a finality to it. But last night, it didn't feel right. And when he didn't come back in the game later, you were pretty worried and thinking this is going to be bad. And then now you hear the news. So it's really, like, my heart aches for him because he transformed himself from a 54 goal scorer last year into the biggest hitter of the playoffs this year. He was about to shatter the NHL record for hits in a postseason. And I just give him so much credit. I love any player who's versatile enough to play a physical game as well as a high skill game. Those guys don't grow on trees. I think the world of him, and he really understood that if I hit everything that moves while playing on a line with Connor McDavid, it's going to soften teams up and matchups up for McDavid to continue to be the best player in the world. So that is a huge, huge loss for that team. I'm not worried about it, how it's going to affect them playing against Dallas, because like I said, I think that series is pretty much over, even if it does come back to Alberta for a 6th game. But I worry in a matchup that I think is going to be so tight against a physical team like Florida, that's an injury that's really, really going to hurt your team.
I'd mentioned earlier in the show, no disrespect to McDavid and Draisaitl. They're as consistent as they can be. But the two best Oilers have been Hyman and 40-year-old Corey Perry. Eric, what is this guy not doing? Like, he's everywhere that they need him to be and at the right time.
Man, the stats were coming out last night. He's played more playoff games than something like, I don't know how many franchises, but most franchises over the last 20 years. And again, like Hyman, he's found a way to be, like, prominent, even though who would have thought when they picked him up mid-season? Like, when they picked him up last year, I just didn't see this coming. I didn't understand the fit, and I was so wrong on this one, and shame on me, because the guy is a unicorn. He can fit into any he's like a chameleon is a better word. I think you're missing a name there. I think Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is a guy. I think he's been the best Oiler in this series, and 9 points in 4 games. Every game he's had at least 2 points. This is a guy we forget about, and nobody kind of considers him like a first overall bust, but you kind of don't ever think about Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. He's probably about the 6th guy you think of when you think of the Oilers, and yet every power play, every penalty kill, he's the first man over the boards in all these situations. He's that important to this team, so I'm kind of happy for him. I'm not going to call it a coming out party because he's so deep into his career, but I really think it's amazing how he's been able to be so prominent, so such a definitive star in this series at a time when I'm not sure anyone was thinking that.
For the most part, last night again, and you'd mentioned Stuart Skinner maybe is in their head, there wasn't a lot of action in front of Stu. He was able to see everything. The one thing that I thought is when Jason Robertson scored that goal on the power play, there was traffic in front, and Robertson was able to come through, and I was like, well, maybe that's what's going to spark Dallas. And Robinson, they did play good in spurts, but Eric, you just knew when Jamie Benn took that first penalty.
Yeah.
The Oiler power play is so good. It's almost like you should probably start live betting that they're not going to score, because assume that they are, and if they don't, that's the anomaly in all of this, because they're just too good.
Yeah, and it's their power play that really is what allowed them to survive against the LA Kings when they were down 2-0, and there was that horrific, call by the coach to challenge one of the plays. The Oilers' power play goes on the ice, and 8 seconds later, they're back in the series. What's really fascinating to me about the Oilers is everyone knows that, they've had the record for the best power play in NHL history, the highest proficiency in past years. We know that it's all the same personnel, and they're really deadly. But throughout these playoffs, they haven't leaned on it as their one big tool in their arsenal. They've used it at times to beat you, but most of the time, in this series anyway, it's the 5-on-5 play that has been the difference for the Oilers. Like, I was citing a stat yesterday, and it's not just about the Oilers, but it's about all the playoffs. Wyatt Johnston went into last night's game -17. I've wondered, usually the longer you go into a playoff, the better chance you don't have a big minus. That is the NHL record right now, and I bet you, I didn't look after last night's game, but I guarantee he was 2 or 3 minus again last night. He's going to shatter the NHL record for plus-minus in a playoff season. The Dallas Stars cannot score 5-on-5 against the Oilers, and that is the big story, actually, in the series, even though last night the 2 power play goals.
You're covering the series for Sportsnet, and you had a chance to chat with Stars GM Jim Nill the other day. What was your conversation about? Is Jim as frustrated as a lot of Stars fans are that no matter what they're trying, they're just running up against a brick wall?
Yeah, a little bit. I guess the one thing I would take away from that was Jim's like, hey, Jim's been around for so many years, won 4 Stanley Cups with Detroit as a management type.
Yeah,
and
man.
I think he's just like, hey, that's the ebbs and flows of the playoffs. There's going to be days where we're frustrated. There's going to be days when they shut us down. There's going to be days when we shoot ourselves in the foot. He kind of shrugs it off. He doesn't love it. And then I saw him again after the game last night, and he really didn't seem to be very happy. Because it has to be frustrating when goal scoring has not been an issue for your franchise for many years. And suddenly in a 3-game spurt, you completely run dry and your season's over. That's got to be tough. But, again, he's seen it all. I didn't sense frustration at all with him. I sense just a guy who understands that even though you can look like you're down and out and it looks like you're out of a series can flip on a dime. So I think he was kind of clinging to that hope, definitely, when I talked to him.
Tonight, Florida goes into Carolina. It's Game 5. Canes won the other night. They actually looked pretty good. You know what? Panthers played well. Panthers did what they do, but they were missing most of their fourth line. AJ Greer wasn't playing. Sam Reinhart wasn't playing. Mikko Mikkola wasn't playing, but they're all going to be back tonight for Game 5. Sooner or later, you knew that they were going to get one. They're 1-15 now in Eastern Conference Finals. Is tonight when Rod the Bod and the Hurricanes go 1-16 and Florida finishes this off and moves on to the Cup final again?
Yeah, you'd think so. You'd certainly think so, but it made me think about last year. You remember Florida went 3-0 up on the Oilers in the final, and you just thought, okay, it's just a matter of time. They're clearly going to finish them off soon. Oh, well, they lost 1. Oh, well, they lost 2. Oh, well, they lost 3. And then we had a Game 7. But and I'm not suggesting that's going to happen here, but the Panthers are going to want to exhibit that killer instinct and get this thing over in 5 while they're at home. So there is no lingering doubt. They want to get healthy. Look, both the Oilers and Florida look like they're on the verge of ending their series quite early, much earlier than I think a lot of people anticipated. And even though I'm led to believe there's going to be quite a break before the NHL can start, there's actually talk. I was talking to some people with the, in and around the league yesterday, and it looks like the final would start on the 7th. And I'm like, you telling me they're not going to bump that up? But there's building issues and such, and I'm not sure if they can bump it up. They're going to bump it up any more than to even the 5th. So we're going to have a significant break, especially if both these teams finish their opponents off early, which, people say is a good thing because guys can get healed. But I also know that every NHL player is a creature of habit. They don't like going 5, 6, 7 days in a row without any action and having to crank it up to 11 right after that. So but it'll be the same for both teams. So, yeah, that's a long-winded way of saying, I would expect Carolina's out tonight.
It's funny, on social media over the past couple of days, the Spit and Chicklets guys, Biz was talking about the fact that someone's going to be crazy enough to give Mitch Marner $13 million a season, and he's won nothing, and he disappears in the playoffs, but yet Sam Bennett's only going to get 10. Not that 10 is anything that, and all Sam Bennett does is perform in the playoffs, and he's got a cup. And it's that crazy scale of, that doesn't make any sense in the world. But Eric, that could play out that way.
I have said that with Barney. I thought I'd said it with you. That's been my hot take for the last week and a half. Someone's going to pay $3 or $4 million more a year for Marner, and not only is Bennett the player who shows up. Actually, I'd almost argue, over the last 5 or 6, 7, 8, maybe even 10 years, name me a guy who stepped forward and been a bigger playoff performer than Sam Bennett. Even when he was in Calgary, and they didn't make the playoffs that much, but he was always known as playoff Sam Bennett. And, it is amazing to me because Biz must have stolen my take. He often listens to this our
he does.
Yeah, that's okay. I love Biz, so that's okay. But, Bennett plays a more important position up the middle at center. It's harder to find guys up the middle at center. It's hard to find guys who have had success in the playoffs and, have a direct correlation between stepping up their game and when the games mean the most. And Mitch Marner is known around the league as one of the biggest no-shows in the last 10, 12 years in the National Hockey League in the playoffs. So, yeah, I'm 100% with you. The only thing is, obviously, we know, Bennett's limit during the season is probably 50, 55 points. Mitch Marner had 100-plus this year. Mitch Marner sells jerseys. Mitch Marner, you can put posters of all over your city. And he's a guy, he's that shiny object that someone's going to vastly overpay for. But I'm 100% in agreement, man. Sam Bennett, for a GM who's trying to win a cup, Sam Bennett's the guy. If I'm the Leafs, I obviously they're walking away from Marner. I walk away from Tavares too if I can get Bennett. If I can't get Bennett, then I'm getting Tavares back. But I want Bennett more than Tavares for sure. That's my take. Problem is, in Toronto, they can't really squeeze him into their salary cap, and you're going to have to pay him for 7 years. So I'm not sure that fits for the Leafs. But Treliving wants that franchise, and so many others need a heart transplant. and Sam Bennett's the guy who can give it to them.
Remember, Eric, when the Jonathan Huberdeau trade went down and the Matthew Tkachuk and all that, and everybody was flaming Bill Zito. This guy is an idiot. He's the dumbest guy in hockey. He's the worst GM in the league. What is this guy doing? He got fleeced, all of that. And Bill Zito just sitting there doing, not that he cared what we thought, cool as a cucumber, making these additions when they need them. They got their cup. They've got all of that. I'm intrigued in the offseason because I don't necessarily know that Bill Zito is just going to let Sam Bennett go without saying, hey, hold on a sec. We got a plan here too. And how they can make all of that fit. Because if they can keep the band together, because what do they have, Bobrovsky for one more year before he becomes a free agent? So if they can keep the band together and keep this thing going, look how hard, Eric, it's hard to have a dynasty in pro sports these days. And I think the Panthers, if they go to their third straight Stanley Cup final, that's as kind of close as you're going to get. So run it back as much as you can.
Oh, my God, yeah. And look, I don't think it's, for a lack of effort. I'm sure Zito and Bennett's camp have been talking all year about the possibility. But given how much his hands are tied by his current cap situation, yeah, it's impossible for Zito to put a plan on or put a number on the table that makes Bennett want to give up a little money to stay in Florida. Look, I still am at the point where I'd be quite surprised if Bennett is not a Florida Panther next year. First of all, he's got to love the lifestyle, the fit. No state tax. Like, there are a million reasons why I still think he's going to stay in Florida, but there may be many more millions of reasons why he may just have to go somewhere else. But I'd be willing to bet you that if it's not Florida and Zito just can't clear the deck to keep him, I'd be willing to bet you it's a market like Dallas. I'm not saying it's Dallas, but a warm weather city. Bennett spent many winters in Calgary, and then he spent several winters in Florida. And I think once you experience a winter in Florida, I have a real hard time believing that, all things being equal, you're not going to choose the warm weather city over a cold weather one.
Because you've been down there, correct? You've seen their setup, like where they drive their golf carts from their houses to the practice rink and all of that. Like you've experienced that, have you not?
Dude, every time I see Matthew Tkachuk, he reminds me that he still has not worn shoes to practice since he became a Florida Panther. Like, yeah, I've seen Matthew's golf cart. I see how those guys live their life, and I think it's got to be something every NHLer dreams of. Like, there's a reason why the Florida teams are juggernauts of late, and I think will continue to be a juggernaut for a long time. Great management, but also no state tax and a lifestyle that's unmatched around the league, really.
Kind of some other news that just gets dwarfed by everything that's going on in the conference finals. Marco Sturm has been named the new head coach of the Boston Bruins. And I thought I lost track. I'm like, I thought they already had named a coach, but if not, is he a placeholder for a couple of years? Is this a long-term solution? Because I don't necessarily know that Boston has the roster, although they do have some draft capital coming up. Are they a contender in the next few years?
No, they're not a contender for the next few years. I mean, I'm puzzled by that hiring, but I don't know a whole lot about Marco Sturm and what he's been doing. I shouldn't really comment because I don't know much. It just surprised me. I hadn't heard his name up until a couple of days ago as a candidate. And no, obviously what's happening in Boston this year, the trade of Brad Marchand said everything about where they're going to start heading now for the next little while. And they're probably long overdue for, a makeover, and now they're going to get it. So Sturm will be that guy, and you're probably right. He'll probably get to stick around for a year or two, maybe 3 if he's lucky. And if there's significant growth, he might hang on. But if there's any sort of step backwards, then, I often think, though, that all that being said, I often think that guys who take those jobs, you've got a long runway for the large part, because no one's expecting much from your roster anytime soon. And so as long as they can continue to develop young stars, even if it's 1 or 2 every year, I think that coach is safe for a while.
Real quick, you were in Edmonton covering the games up there. Are you going to Dallas? Are you going to be there tomorrow night for game... God, I'm so confused. Is that going to be game 5, game 6, game 5?
Game 5. I will not be going to Dallas. I just pulled into Calgary, and I'll be watching game 5 from the comfort of my home, very, very happily. And then as so many of my colleagues, we all spent 4 days together in Edmonton. Everybody's having a good time, meeting up with old friends, and then everyone says, "Okay, well, I guess I'll see you back in Edmonton or not." So you could probably guess how a lot of people feel about Edmonton about Dallas stretching this into 6 games. Most guys are not really cheering for it.
Hey, don't let Tourism Edmonton hear this part of the show. They're not going to be impressed. They'll cancel their advertising buy. Calling sales managers they want.
I've always been a hell of a spokesman for Edmonton Tourism. There's no question about it. I'm a big fan.
All right, it's Eric Francis inside the NHL, brought to you by Saudi Mainline Chrysler, where employee pricing is back, and this month you pay what the employees pay. Enjoy massive savings or get 0% interest rates OAC on your next purchase. Don't miss out on this incredible opportunity to save big. Employee pricing's in full effect at Saudi Mainline for the first time in 10 years. It's the 100th anniversary of Canada. Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram, and they're giving back with employee pricing on almost all new inventory. They're also the new king of trucks, Saudi Mainline Chrysler. Worth the drive every time, guaranteed. All right, time to take a break. When we come back, Saskatchewan Roughrider training camp, final full practice today before the walkthrough tomorrow, getting ready for the game on Friday. And Dave Thomas, and a guy that has been quietly flying under the radar, but all sorts of people are noticing in the right spots. We'll do that next. This is the home of local sports in Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM.
Burning the candle at both ends? What a weird saying. What if there's no wick at the bottom end? So many questions. But what I don't question is where I get my tires. When your vehicle needs the right tires, see your local Cooper tire dealer. Your local Cooper tire dealer carries Cooper Discover Road and Trail AT tires. They have a durable tread that helps resist cutting, cranking, and tearing that occurs on rough trails. Ask your local Cooper tire dealer about Cooper Discoverer Road and Trail AT tires today.
Experience the next level of cleanliness with B&Boa's Cleaning Services. We bring reliable service, eco-friendly practices, and flexible scheduling to homes, businesses, and industrial spaces. Book us this spring and get 15% off. Whether it's your office, home, or warehouse, we'll have your space shining. Better hurry, offer ends soon. B&Boa's Cleaning Services. From homes to industries, we clean with care. Visit bboascleaning.com.
The deck sale is on at Freeze Tallman. Get 15% off composite decking. That's 15% off. Only purchased through Freeze Tallman. If you got a deck project coming up, then you're going to want to head to Freeze Tallman for their deck sale. That's 15% off composite decking only purchased through Freeze Tallman. Visit freezetallman.com or see them in Regina or Fort Capel.
Freeze Tallman. Let's get you building.
Calling all skilled heavy-duty mechanics. Core Industrial Services has an exciting opportunity for you. They're hiring a full-time heavy-duty mechanic to join them at their 9,000-square-foot shop in Rocanville, Saskatchewan. As a heavy-duty mechanic, you're responsible for performing maintenance and repairs on a wide range of equipment, from heavy machinery to light trucks and more. At Core Industrial Services, they believe in the power of teamwork. Apply today on their website at coreindustrial.ca or call them at 306-745-4844. Core Industrial Services, where expertise meets opportunity. Apply now.
Truck Month is back at Capital GMC, and the massive savings have arrived. Lease a 2025 GMC Sierra for just $99 a week, or finance a Sierra for as low as 0%. Save over $13,000 on a brand new GMC Sierra 2500 HD Denali. Or check out something certified pre-owned. They all come with manufacturer's warranty, roadside assistance, and more. Get the best deals, get the best experience. It's Truck Month at Capital GMC in Regina. Lease payment applicable with $5,500 down payment. See dealer for details.
The Sportscage Clutch Performer for Nick's Service in Emerald Park. Your local Massey Ferguson Challenger, Rogator, Gleaner, and Fendt dealer. Call 781-1077.
My clutch performer, I'm going to go Ethan Newton's, Matt Ward, and Ryder Ritchie. Goal scorers last night for the Medicine Hat Tigers. I thought they played their best game of the tournament, and they knocked off, to me, the best team in the tournament, the London Knights. They've punched their ticket to the final on Sunday at the Memorial Cup. They don't know who they're going to play, but Willie Desjardins and crew, Sasky guy, weapon, will play for the Memorial Cup. Nice job. They win last night, 3-1. Colson, Curtis, got clutch performers. What do you guys got today?
Well, I was going for the goaltending. Harrison Menigan got player of the game,
nice,
and stopped 35 of 36 on that from that high-powered London team. So, yeah, as much as Medicine Hat's Tigers offense is just relentless, having an outstanding goaltender is not to be slept on.
I think last time we had Rob Vanstone on, because we were chatting about old WHL, to me, the two best teams I ever saw in the Western Hockey League were the 1987 and 1988 Medicine Hat Tigers that ended up winning the Memorial Cup. And as a Blades fan, they just were breaking hearts every year. There was no two better teams. This team could be or be better than that. Curtis, what do you got?
I'm going to go not sports related, but my clutch performance of the day is my buddy Mosh. Kind of helped me out with some networking stuff right before the show, helped me fix some problems, and he came in clutch as advertised.
Nice. Oh, I know what I wanted to ask you too. It's Maz in for Barty today, along with the double C's, Colson and Curtis. Pretty much nobody in your generation smokes cigarettes, right? Like that's an older thing. But here's where I'm going with this. But do you have any friends or people that you hang around with that vape? Because I see a lot of young people vaping. Is that a thing in your friend group?
Yeah, you know what? People at my age do smoke cigarettes. I just never see people smoke cigarettes like casually. They'll only do it when they're out and about, like at the bar or something.
Okay.
So it's just creatures of their habitat, I suppose.
And the reason why is that at the kids' school, when I drop them off every day, there's one teacher. She doesn't park in the parking lot. She parks out on the street. And when she's getting out of her car, she's standing there. And there's always like a giant cloud of vape smoke. Like she is doing whatever she can to psych herself up for the day. There's only 5 weeks left of school, but whatever. And today, it's so funny because she's there vaping up a storm, and there's kids and parents walking, and she looks like a factory, like with chimney smoke coming out. That's how hard she's tugging on this vape. But the thing is she's standing right next to a Tesla Cybertruck, an emissionless vehicle. And I thought, that's the weirdest thing. You have the young generation over here that wants to care about a lot of things like the environment, but vaping your brains out next to the Tesla Cybertruck right here. Here's the thing. I'm nosy. I don't like when people have tinted windows. I want to see who's driving. And their windows were, and I'm sure they're going to get a ticket, but their windows were super tinted and I couldn't tell who was driving. Is that a mom? Is it a dad? Who was it? Because nobody got out.
Yeah, I don't know. My parents are kind of like that. That anytime they get a new vehicle, the first thing they do is they'll tint the windows. And it's like, but why though? Like, you'll get a ticket for it. And it's like, sometimes it's fashion over function,
That's a financial flex to say, listen, I have $800, you don't. I'm going to tint my windows. You're a peasant, and I will enjoy my privacy and then go from there. Hey, listen, if you're in the education system, 5 weeks left of school, whatever you need to power through, vaping or otherwise. All right, today was the last full day of Saskatchewan Roughrider training camp, and all of our reports have been brought to you by the Red Zone Sports Bar behind the Travel Lodge in Saskatoon. Now, there's going to be some changes on offense for the game. Deshaun Mims was running with the number ones today because Keon Schaefer-Baker wasn't. Mims has had a great camp. And then there's a guy who has, for a lot of us, we don't know who Braden Mazeri is. He's just gone out and quietly had an outstanding training camp and is really going to make some decisions hard come the weekend about when this roster is constructed. And Dave Thomas had a chance to catch up with him earlier today after practice.
able to learn a lot from the vets, from guys like Trevor, Shea, Sam, Keyshawn, all those guys. They've been really helpful, helped me get used to the professional side of the game. It's honestly been a dream come true.
Been a heck of a journey, though, from Western to the Combine, now to here. Can you take me through that process and how you ended up with the Roughriders?
Yeah, so essentially for me, my initial route in high school was looking more towards Division I. COVID hit, unfortunately, so that kind of limited my options, and when it came down to it, I thought about what's going to feel like most home for me, and that was Western. I got there, didn't start my first 3 years on offense, but I made sure to get on the field in any way I can, whether that was on special teams, did everything I could to contribute. My third year was when my official starting on the offensive side of the ball, and I just kind of ran with it, made the most of it. By my fourth year, which was this past year, I kind of just took another step forward. I made sure to really excel my game in all the aspects that I knew I needed to work on. Once I got that, initially I was invited to the Invitational Combine, thought I deserved to be at the National with those other guys just based off my film and the versatility that I bring to the game. And then thankfully I got that call to be bumped up to the National Combine. Didn't test as well as I wanted to at the National Combine, but I can't control everything. I can only control how I respond to things. From there I made sure that every aspect in the on-field portion was the best it can be. I gave my best in my one-on-ones and the individual drills and the compete period of it. The draft night, it was a long night for me. Fortunately, didn't get to hear my name called, as me and my agent discussed. It was in the likes of being called, but you know what? It didn't come down to it. At the end of the day, like I told him, is that whatever happens, I'm going to be ready for whatever opportunity comes. And I'm thankful that it was the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Of all the interviews I had, I definitely felt like Saskatchewan was the best feeling for me. Definitely felt like home. And now that I'm here, looking at the beautiful stadium, interacting with the coaches, the fans on a daily basis, this is the exact atmosphere I'd like to picture myself in. It's been an amazing journey so far.
Are you playing with a chip on your shoulder, or maybe something to prove?
I guess you could say that. Definitely seeing guys drafted before me. I definitely thought that I should have been gone before some guys. But that's not my call. I don't make those decisions. Those are the guys in the head offices and the coaches looking at certain aspects. The only thing that I'm going to do is just come out here and just bust my ass every day and show the coaches that I want to be here. I'm trying to learn and soak up as much knowledge as I possibly can, especially like I said earlier from those vets like Sam, Keyshawn, Shea, Dell, all those guys, Mitch, and even Trevor Harris. That guy's one of the greatest of all time, and I'm just trying to take in as much knowledge as I can and just kind of bring whatever they can teach me to the field and just do what I can do.
Did you ever have a welcome to the CFL moment? I know it hasn't been that long, but Trevor Harris throwing you a pass sounds like a remarkable day.
It's definitely a remarkable thing when you see him throwing you the ball, but I think honestly my welcome to the CFL moment was just kind of when the vets got here and seeing the intensity and the speed that the jump brings from university to here. People always talk, oh yeah, the jump is incredible, and you come in thinking, oh, I've played football for long enough, but I don't think I wasn't prepared enough for the jump to the next level. But as I kind of got my feet underneath me and I kind of settled into it, I feel like I deserve to be here, and I feel like I can play at this level with all these guys. It doesn't matter who's lined up across from me. I think this jump and again learning from these guys has just allowed me to become the best version of myself.
You said at Western to get on the field, you went to special teams. At different times I've seen you looking at fielding punts, running out there saying I'll do whatever. Is that an accurate statement? You'll do whatever, and if it comes to having to field a punt, you'll do it?
Absolutely. In my university career, I was the starting punt returner for Western for numerous years, had one of the highest punt return averages in the country. That was something I've always prided myself in doing. I've done it since I was little, and even when I get here, I may not be out there catching punts, but it doesn't matter where I get put. The only thing I'm going to do is just do my job to the best of my ability, and whatever's going to push this team forward and help us get a win at the end of the day, I'm going to do that. Doesn't matter where I'm at on the field.
Your coach says kind of remind him of a Joe, who was a larger-than-life personality in this dressing room a year ago. Your reaction?
I think it's a good testament to who I am as an individual. But Joe was his own person, and I'm just trying to do me. My parents always say, do you to the best of your ability, find the good in every scenario, and just kind of live your life to how you want to live it. And that's exactly what I bring to the table. I'm always going to be the happy, extroverted individual, always trying to make guys laugh and have fun in the locker room. But there is a point of seriousness where you have to bring in that professionalism. So I think that's something I'm still trying to wrap my head around in certain scenarios, but the guys are getting me right for sure.
Appreciate your time. All the best moving forward.
Thank you very much, Dave. Thank you for your time.
Perfect.
That's Braden Mazeri, rookie receiver out of Western. I was just on his Instagram page, and there's a reel of him at a game, I think from last season, where he breaks 3 tackles and scores a touchdown off a bit of a screen pass. One of these guys, I don't think anybody had any expectations for, and all he's done is show up every day since rookie camp and make plays. These are the kind of players that we all, as Rider fans, we love when these guys emerge, because this could be the next one. Is this the next cog in the wheel of the great Canadian Air Force version 2.0? If Fantus and Bag and those guys were 1.0, to go along with Emilus and Schaefer Baker, how is he it? He's in tight, he's in tough to make the roster, but from everything he's done, and Dave said, it's great. Hey, don't forget, Friday night, we'll wrap the preseason. The Bombers are coming to town, take on the Riders. The 620 CKRM Cooperators Rider Broadcast Network pregame show will start at 4 o'clock on Friday. That means you get an abbreviated Sportscage. And then Dave and Luke will have the call at 7 o'clock right here on the home of the Saskatchewan Roughriders all season long. Proud to be doing it again, as we're into our 4th decade of doing this, which is awesome. It's 620 CKRM.
Rider Nation lives on 620 CKRM. I'm Dave Thomas, voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Friday is game day as the Riders take on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Countdown to kickoff with Justin Dunk and Tegan Whitco is at 4. The pregame show's at 6, and kickoff with Luke Mullender and I is at 7. Saskatchewan Roughriders football on the Cooperators Rider Broadcast Network is brought to you by UFA, Croft Electric, and Stars Lottery. Stream every moment of Rider football at sportscage.com.
You say
move,
and your cows say you tell them
your water is right over there,
and they say you can't convince a cow to move to the water, so move the water to the cows with the Keln Solar Livestock Watering System. With the Keln Solar Livestock Watering System, you can put your pump pretty much anywhere without the cost of hooking up to the grid. Learn more about the Keln Solar Livestock Watering System at kelnsolar.com. Keln Solar, we move water.
Employee pricing is back at Southie Mainline. This month, you pay what we pay. Enjoy massive savings or get 0% interest rates OAC on your next purchase. Employee pricing is in full effect at Southie Mainline for the first time in 10 years. And with our 100-year anniversary in Canada, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram is giving back with employee pricing on almost all new inventory. Don't miss out on this incredible opportunity to save big. The new King of Trucks in Southie, just 30 minutes north of Regina. Worth the drive every time, guaranteed.
Calling all skilled heavy-duty mechanics. Core Industrial Services has an exciting opportunity for you. They're hiring a full-time heavy-duty mechanic to join them at their 9,000-square-foot shop in Rocanville, Saskatchewan. As a heavy-duty mechanic, you're responsible for performing maintenance and repairs on a wide range of equipment, from heavy machinery to light trucks and more. At Core Industrial Services, they believe in the power of teamwork. Apply today on their website at coreindustrial.ca or call them at 306-745-4844. Core Industrial Services, where expertise meets opportunity. Apply now.
Hi, I'm Robin Booker, editor of The Western Producer. Step into the field at Ag in Motion to explore the crop plots. You'll see firsthand how different crops perform under real conditions, from crop rotation to fertilization, weed control, and disease management. Learn from the experts and discover the latest in crop innovation only at Ag in Motion. Join us near Langham, Saskatchewan, July 15th to 17th, and get your tickets online at aginmotion.ca.
The ball is snapped. He scans the field. He's going deep. What a play! Rider fans, make your own great play by going to riders5050.ca. You can now buy tickets for every Rider game, home or away. You can also sign up for the 50/50 Club and never miss a draw, including the weekly loyalty and early bird prizes. All proceeds support amateur football in Saskatchewan, equipping the heartland, and just maybe score a big win. Get your tickets today at riders5050.ca and go Riders! Riders 50/50 is presented by ISC.
Burning the candle at both ends? What a weird saying. What if there's no wick at the bottom end? So many questions. But what I don't question is where I get my tires. When your vehicle needs the right tires, see your local Cooper tire dealer. Your local Cooper tire dealer carries Cooper, Discoverer Road, and Trail AT tires. They have a durable tread that helps resist cutting, cracking, and tearing that occurs on rough trails. Ask your local Cooper tire dealer about Cooper, Discoverer Road, and Trail AT tires today.
Country Corner, brought to you by Municipal Hail Insurance. Proudly serving farmers. MunicipalHail.ca.
John Party brings the Honky Tonk Hollywood Tour to the Brandt Center Wednesday, June 11th. Special guests Corey Kent and Cassie Ashton. Tickets at Ticketmaster.ca. 620 CKRM and Tri-Hall Self-Unloading Bale Movers present the CCA Pilot Butte Rodeo, June 13th to 15th. Don't miss Caitlin's Crusaders Bronc Match, Parade, Chariots, Chuck Wagons, the Bud Light Cabaret, and more. Full details and where to get tickets on our events page at 620CKRM.com. And 620 CKRM and the Sportscage are proud to support the Synergy 8 Drive for Kids campaign, Thursday, August 28th at the Willows Golf and Country Club in Saskatoon. This year's special guest is Canadian pro golfer Corey Connors. More information at synergy8.ca.
For more information, visit 620CKRM.com. It's time for the Sports Ticker, brought to you by Extreme Hockey and Sports. Whatever your sport is, Extreme Hockey has you covered.
The playoff round of the Memorial Cup is underway. Tonight, Rimouski takes on Moncton. Face-off there goes in just a couple of minutes. National Hockey League tonight, the Panthers are in Carolina to take on the Hurricanes. Game 5 with a win. Panthers move to the Stanley Cup final. In Major League Baseball, the Blue Jays taking on the Texas Rangers. First pitch there goes just after 6 o'clock.
620 CKRM, a Harvard media station. Broadcasting from Regina, around the world at 620CKRM.com.
It's 5 o'clock. Good evening. I'm Corey Atkinson from the SaskToday.ca newsroom with your 620 CKRM news for Echo Sound in Fort Capel. Stay connected with the new cell phone from Echo Sound. Call 306-332-6711. Unified Grassroots says its 8 planned town halls at Royal Canadian Legion halls in Saskatchewan have been cancelled. The group promotes talks about Saskatchewan's future with Canada, including the idea of separation. The Legion's provincial executive director, Chad Wagner, says the group's message doesn't match the Legion's core values or its focus on national unity. Unified Grassroots says its events were designed to support civic engagement. The group is asking the Legion to review its decision and to allow future meetings. The Regina Police Service is asking the public to avoid the 2100 block of Atkinson Street as a police operation is underway. Those people in the area are asked to shelter in place, and motorists and pedestrians are asked to choose an alternative route. Updates will be provided as they become available. The Regina Police Service Cold Case Unit has closed its investigation into the 1996 death of 22-year-old Muriel Roxanne Desmarais, who was found dead in an alley on King Street. Her death was first ruled accidental, believed to be caused while changing a tire. Years later, new statements led police to reopen the case. On March 27th of this year, police and the Saskatchewan Coroner Service reclassified the case as a homicide. The suspect has died and can't be charged, so his name will not be released. Police have informed Desmarais' family and ended the investigation. Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew says people should prepare to help evacuees as wildfires threaten his province from border to border. It comes as roughly 5,000 residents of the border community of Flin Flon are on evacuation alert as a nearby fire continues to grow. Kinew says people need to ready themselves to lend a hand.
Not necessarily private residences, but companies and communities across the province to potentially open your doors. If we have to move a community of 6,000 people, then we are going to be turning to people for help.
Wildfire officials say there are 18 active fires and many have been caused by human activity. A judge in Minnesota has sentenced a man convicted of human smuggling to 10 years in prison. Harsh Kumar Patel's co-accused, Steve Shand, also received a 6.5-year sentence. Patel's lawyer, Tom Lineweber, says this was a tough decision for his client.
I thought the judge did an excellent job of listening to our arguments. And while I may disagree with the length of the sentence, I certainly can't disagree with how he came up with what he thought was an appropriate sentence.
Lienenweber says his client will be appealing the conviction and the sentence. The two men were found guilty on a number of smuggling charges after the death of a family in southern Manitoba in 2022. And the Weather Network's summer forecast is calling for warmer than normal temperatures across much of Canada. But meteorologist Doug Gillum says the heat is raising concerns about wildfire and drought, especially across the prairies.
Lots of good news this summer, but some disclaimers as well, in that this summer can have some difficulties that come with extreme heat and not enough rain in parts of the country and stormy weather in other parts of the country.
He says hot and humid conditions in Ontario, Quebec, and the Maritimes are likely to help fuel some powerful thunderstorms. That was your 620 CKRM News. Read more stories from around your community and around the province at sasktoday.ca and 620CKRM.com. Your weather is next.
Way to go, Travis Kelce. I mean, son.
As fun as it is watching your 5-year-old run the wrong way or pick dandelions on the football field, what if I told you you could watch your favorite sports or shows on the go anywhere? Well, you can with MaxStream TV from Echo Sound, your SaskTel authorized dealer. Take MaxStream anywhere you go.
Oh, wrong way, buddy.
MaxStream and great internet plans available at Echo Sound, your SaskTel authorized dealer in Fort Capel, echosound.ca.
Let's get out on the water. Now is the best time of year to buy a boat or pontoon at Kevin's Marine. Cast a line in a Lund fishing boat. Take the family out on a Four Winds boat. Or head out on a pontoon by Harris or Crest. Powered by Mercury Motors at the lowest prices of the year. There are manufacturer's rebates, dealer discounts, and low payment financing on a great selection of boats and pontoons. Plus Shoremaster aluminum docks and lifts. Kevin's Marine in Fort Capel. Enjoy your summer. Get out on the water. Stop by or shop online at kevinsmarine.com.
620 CKRM weather is brought to you by Linex Regina, serious protection, killer looks at 1865 McCarra Street. And for Croft Electric, 27 years of trusted, reliable home, farm, and commercial service for all your electrical needs. CroftElectric.com and on all socials. Here's
quiet conditions prevail through the end of this week. Not too much cloud cover at all, and really not too much wind overall. Each afternoon, a little bit more of a breeze does pick up. We've still got a few gusts that are higher into the early evening, but as the night goes on, the wind will diminish, less than 20 and eventually less than 10 kilometers per hour through the night, dropping off to around 12 degrees under a clear sky. For the day tomorrow, mostly sunny, 27. Again, watch for those winds to pick up just a bit for the afternoon. May not drop off quite as much Thursday night, and we're still mostly sunny, but the wind shifts from the south to southeast into the west and northwest on Friday. Minimal change. Some slightly drier air may work in, but a very minor difference behind this front. 12 degrees the low Thursday night, 27 Friday, back to 28 Saturday, and 30 on Sunday. Both days are mostly sunny. Into next week, though, we'll see the heat break and eventually clouds and a few showers working their way in through much of next week. With your 620 CKRM weather forecast, I'm Precision Weather meteorologist Phil Spivak.
When you want the best for your truck, you want Line-X. Your truck has withstood the harshest elements Saskatchewan has thrown at it. Rocks, gravel, rain, sleet, and snow, and left with no chips, no rust. Line-X protective coating keeps your truck's bed liners, rocker panels, and bumpers looking like brand new. Don't settle for Brand X. Go with Line-X. It's serious protection. Come see why everybody loves taking their truck to Line-X Regina for their rocker panels, bumpers, and more. Line-X, make your truck complete. 1865 McCarra Street.
Croft Electric. You've probably heard of us because we've been around for over 27 years. We do commercial and residential work? Yes. We do permanent holiday lighting? Yes. We do cabins? Yes. And farms? Yes and yes. We're an authorized Generac generator dealer. We are a full-service electrical company with the experience and the people to service all of your electrical needs. We are Croft Electric. We will be here when you need us. Do it right, do it once. Follow us on all social and call 306-586-1333 to book.
Broadcasting from Century Studios in downtown Regina, Harvard Media presents The Sportscage, where Saskatchewan comes to talk local sports. Brought to you by Regina Motor Products, proudly serving Saskatchewan for over 70 years. Visit rnpchevrolet.com today. Be part of the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262. The Sportscage. Streaming at sportscage.com, our YouTube channel, and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
Last night, near the end of the hockey game, Oiler fans were chanting, "We want the cup," as the Oilers were beating the Dallas Stars 4-1. Now, that game was pretty much a 2-1 game, for the most part. A couple of empty netters. The Oilers played well, that power play. You can't take penalties. They're just too good. Oilers one win away from their second consecutive Stanley Cup final, but the big news, in case you've been busy at work and you're not like most people and can't be on your phone all day catching breaking news on Instagram or on the Sportscage Twitter account or at sportscage.com, where you can sign up for the daily email where you would get breaking news like this. Zach Hyman, injured last night, had surgery earlier today. He's pretty much done for the playoffs. Going to be out for a while. Nice. There it is right there. If you're watching the stream, there's a QR code. Boom. Open your smartphone, sign up. A whole bunch of corporate types in this company will be incredibly happy if we drive the numbers through the roof on the email sign up. They'll want to talk to me. They'll take my call. When they see me phoning on Microsoft Teams, the first ring, they're going to try and answer because we're flooding the inbox with how many email signups we've got. Oiler fans, it's going to be depth again because Hyman, Corey Perry, and Eric Francis pointed out he thinks Ryan Nugent Hopkins have been the 3 best players for the Oilers. I forgot about Nuge. Easily overshadowed by McDavid and Draisaitl. Game number 5 will go tomorrow night in Dallas. With a win, they move on. I think Dallas may have a little pushback tomorrow. They did play a good game last night, but it just didn't seem to be enough. Tonight, in just over an hour's time, face-off Carolina, Florida. Florida wins. They're on to their 3rd straight Stanley Cup final. It's Maz and the Double C's, Curtis and Colson doing the Sports Cage today. In for Barney. He'll be back in tomorrow. All right, let's go out on the Western Pizza guest hotline. And we're going to chat with a guy I've known for a long time. And I'm like, Kelly Kersh, what was it, 3 weeks or 4 weeks ago? And you texted, "I'm in Regina and I'm at Arby's," and you were like loving it. I don't know what your order was, but you text me out of the blue that you're in town and you're at Arby's because a couple of things. Kelly and I both love the Saskatchewan Roughriders, which we're going to talk about in a bit, and we love Arby's for whatever reason. So Kersh, what was your order that day that prompted you to be like, I'm going to text Maz, just let him know that I'm living the good life, and he's probably not right now?
Yeah, I still like the Reuben, my friend, and the matzo sticks. I just think that's my go-to at Arby's. Used to be the Philly beef and Swiss until they took it off the menu some 10 years ago, which I have not gotten over yet. But that's my go-to. The Reuben with some matzo sticks. You can't go wrong when you get to Arby's. So there you go.
This may be sacrilege, Kersh, but I've kind of shifted in my thinking. Don't get me wrong, a good beef and cheddar, love it. The past 2 times I've been there, I've had the turkey bacon club. So what? Good. All right. I know. Here. All right. Let's go with this. All right. Week 1 of CFL preseason is in the books. Week 2 is coming up. How much have you been paying attention? How excited are you? Are you diving into rosters online of other teams beside the Riders? Where are you at out of a 1 to 10 on your commitment so far to this new CFL season?
I'm getting there, Maz. Like, the thing is, the preseason in the CFL is always a bit of a crapshoot because you got a lot of guys who have not played the Canadian game before, right? So they got to get used to the 3 downs and all the motion and all the special teams. So preseason can be a bit of a chore to kind of see any sort of consistency, which is par for the course for preseason. But I'm very intrigued and a little disturbed too, a little bit about the offensive line already having some major injuries for the Riders. I think that is just like, why does that always happen at the beginning of the season?
I know.
But I think the depth is there. But to answer your question, I'm all in. I'm excited for it. Saw some stuff online, watched the game online, and we're ready to go. I mean, I think two games is quite enough, and let's see what happens when Ottawa comes to town and it's for real.
Back to the injury thing. I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. Why can't we have nice things? Like, we signed Sean McEwen, and for a lot of people, he had a down year last year in Calgary, and Dave Dickinson, it was knives out to the roster. And McEwen, gone. I'm like, for us to be able to land him, I thought was great. Came out yesterday, it's an ACL, he's done. Philip Gagnon, once again, snake bit. And this is where I was like, can we pump the brakes on the Grey Cup talk? Because we got to get ourselves out of training camp and see who we're going to, have lined up there. Edwin Harrison last year was the MVP of the Saskatchewan Roughrider coaching staff, being able to use 14 or 15 offensive linemen, many that had never played in the CFL before, to what was a pretty good O-line last year. Trevor Harris, Jake Mayer, the Tommy Stevens, the Jack Cohn. Does Mayer have to live up to expectations and be the old guy, or because the guy in Calgary for the past year and a half was not great? Where do you fall on which Jake Maier is going to show up for the Riders?
Here's the deal with that. I think the Roughriders have the best three guys they've had in terms of depth for a long time, maybe back to 2013. I think I think Jake is the best insurance policy you can purchase. And I think he's a guy that, maybe has to prove himself. He's got a chip. Every interview I've heard and seen from him, he's going, I'm going to reset my career here. I'm going to show, what I can do. I think, there's no doubt he can throw up the numbers. Did he make some mistakes? Did he have a lot of injuries to kind of deal with? Players going down and forth. I think that he is probably the best second-string guy in the league, and I don't think it's close.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'm trying to think of second-string quarterbacks, and there's not many to come to line. Kelly Kersh is joining us on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline here on the Sports Cage. We're talking all things CFL. Jameer Thurman's back in the middle. I mean, you got Roland Milligan. There's so many studs on defense. But Luke brought this up, and you and I have talked about this before. I would love to see us get back to being a dominant D-line. 2 great or 3 or 4 DNs. The D tackles in the middle, just like dominant. And I like Ali Saad as the draft pick. We're going Canadian there. But just get back to that point of the Rider D-line is nobody wants to play us because you're going to be in one for 60 minutes every game.
I think you're right. I think the thing is with the defense, that is going to probably keep the team in it like it has to at times. I think that the defense right now, the games are on paper right now. We don't play the games on paper. We'll see when the lights go out and what happens. This is strong defense right now. I love the secondary. I think they've got a few things. Now, injuries can throw things out of whack. Everybody knows that. That goes for every team. But defensively, I think they are going to afford the Roughriders a little bit of time to get the offense to gel, to figure out what the running game is going to look like, figure out what that offensive line is going to look like too. And I really think that the Riders are the team. I don't know if they're number one in the West, but, man, they've got to be close. We'll see what happens with the BC Lions. Was Nathan Rourke, is he a really good quarterback, or was he really hot for a little time and just was great for a little bit, or is he Casey Printers? That's the interesting. Vernon Adams in Calgary? Okay, we'll see. Can he stay healthy? And if he can't, then what happens? And up in Edmonton, I think they're going to really try and push and be better. They can't be much worse than they were before. And Winnipeg is Winnipeg. They are going to be right with the Riders, tooth and nail, as we get down to Labor Day and Banjo Bowl and those types of things.
Week 2 CFL preseason kicks off Friday. Hamilton at Toronto. We saw a little bit of this in Game 1. Kenny Lawler and Bo Levi Mitchell. This scares me. If you're a Ticat fan, maybe you break that curse of not winning a Grey Cup since '99. But as someone who we're going to have to play them, that combination scares me. As we know, Bo's not afraid to put it up there, and now he's got a receiver that's not afraid to go and get it.
Where exactly did Bo Levi Mitchell find the fountain of youth? And I would like to get it, and I think you would too, Maz, because I thought his career was over. I thought that shoulder was done. Yep. I talked to some of the guys in the Stampeders that played with him and said, he's done. He's done. And he they didn't make the playoffs last year, but he put up the numbers. If he can get a little support, get some people not dropping the ball, that is a story to behold. If this is his last year or second last year, something else, because I did not see this coming where Bo Levi Mitchell was going to have this renaissance, and he's got enough weapons around him and a really good coaching staff and a good kind of front office there that I think the Tiger Cats are going to be right there with the Argonauts and maybe Montreal. And don't forget about Ottawa, because they're improved too. So the East, perish the thought, will be the year that the East is actually a little bit on par or better than the West. I'll believe it when I see it.
On the Bo Levi Mitchell front, and this renaissance you talk about, to me, and if they play this out, and I don't see any reason why that they can't do this, that Bo could be like in an Anthony Calvillo situation. Good, seen everything, got a good game plan and a good coach around him, and if they surround him with the talent that Bo's release, he doesn't run a lot, he doesn't take a lot of hits, could play for a long time and be really effective. And I think like by getting him a Kenny Lawler, and then you saw the Shamar Bridges and you saw some of the young talent. And I think that if there's anybody to have something like what Calvillo had in his later years, Bo could be it. Because like you had said, most people wrote him off. His career was over. Shoulder was junk. Couldn't throw the touch pass. Well, that touch pass is back. So Montreal and Ottawa, I just don't know enough. And every year, Kersh, we're told to buy stock in the Red Blacks. Oh, they're better. This is their year. Oh, no, this is their year. Oh, they got Drew Brown. They've got... There's not a lot of things in Ottawa these days that I'm crazy about or investing in.
Well,
or putting
the thing I
an
was
elbow up for.
surprised at is they didn't panic and fire coaches and carry on. So they look like, maybe they want to have some stability for a change, and I think that's going to work in their favor. They had some weird games kind of go south on them too.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to be better. I mean, are they in the league of Toronto, Montreal, and Hamilton? I don't think so. But their defense certainly can play, and I think Brown can make some plays too. I think he can. If you can keep him upright and give him some time, he can make some plays for you. But I'm kind of curious to see how that all matches up come June 5th in Regina, right? Like that's going to be interesting to see how that works.
You mentioned the word curious, and not that I won't be, into the Rider Bomber game on Friday, but the Lions and Elks, Nathan Rourke and Trey Ford, both expected to play. And if this is the next wave of future superstar in the CFL, now are you going to see it in week 2 of the preseason? No, but it'd be a good indication. A lot of people are talking about how good Cody Fajardo has played in Elks camp. And Nathan Rourke, was it a flash in the pan in 2022 or last year was a blip? Or is it like, okay, he's got a full training camp, got Buck Pierce, and it's time for the Lions to start rolling. That's probably the most interesting game that I'm looking forward to this weekend, to try and assess, okay, what are we up against in the West? And then I will ask you this. If we have to lose, eventually you do, to me, we need to go 3-0 against the Bombers this year. We do that, destiny is in our hands. You can't lose in the West if you're the Riders. Any losses got to come from the East because it's just going to be too tight. Are you on that same page as well?
Well, no. I mean, I think you need points, Maz. I don't think it. Obviously the West head-to-heads are important, but I think the Roughriders in past seasons have had a real tough time kind of after the first 5 weeks of the season until kind of the middle part. They've got to be more consistent. You asked about, what do I think about Rourke and Trey Ford. I think that's cool. I think it's a great story, and it's one of those things I hope the CFL plays up. I think there's a few things the CFL could do. We'll talk about that maybe next time when it comes to flag football and the opportunity that's presenting them right in front of them. But as far as the Roughriders, you think, okay, you start at home against Ottawa, and first game of the season, all that kind of stuff. And then, the schedule maker really doesn't ever make it good on the Roughriders. They always have to kind of twist them a little bit. So you got an Eastern kind of road trip off the start. So you really, kind of by the 20th, about 8 o'clock at night and 9 o'clock at night, where's this team going to be? Are they going to be 1-2? Are they going to be 2-1? Or Paris has thought 3-0, because it is tough to win back-to-back Eastern games, and a bit of a short turnaround. And then you've got BC kind of back in Regina on the 28th. Like the first 4 weeks are so fascinating to me because they have such different storylines.
Last year, Winnipeg started 0-4 and managed to recover and end up playing in the West Final. I don't know if you go 0-4 this year, if you can do that. I definitely know that the Riders cannot go on a 7-game losing streak and still expect to host a playoff game. I just think that the other teams have gotten better. So you look at home opener, Thursday, June 5th, Ottawa's in town. Then we go to Hamilton to the Bo Levi Mitchell show. That's on Saturday, June 14th. Then BC is at Mosaic on June 28th. And then we have a bye and then Calgary at Saskatchewan Friday, June 11th. 3 home games in the first 5 weeks of the season. Kersh, we got to be 3-1. We have to be dominant at home. And we haven't been since we moved to Mosaic. I'm not sure what our record is, but we're not the lock it down like the Bombers have been. Like going to Winnipeg usually means somebody's losing, and it's not usually the Bombers. That's the dominant team that I think we need to turn out to be. That when other teams come in, there's very little chance they're walking out with a win.
Well, I think what we have to kind of back up a little bit, because I think what we're saying is that we're talking about all these teams that we think are going to be better. Do you really think there's a bad team in the CFL this year? I don't. So I think you're going to have each game is going to be a battle. I don't think there's any gimmies anymore. I think even the teams that maybe struggled are going to be better. I think you're going to see a big improvement with the Elks up in Edmonton. And I think BC is going to be better, and I think the East is going to surprise some people. Can they play out west? Because you talk about the Roughriders maybe struggling in years past when they go to Montreal, Toronto, and Hamilton on the road. Well, a lot of teams have a tough time when they come out west. I think there's, people hate the word parity. I like it. I think the CFL needs it. I think each game's going to be battle, and we'll see where the chips fall. But you're right. The first 5 weeks, very interesting and very important for the Roughriders to kind of establish who they are.
If Dave Dickinson dressed 33 players last week that had never played in the CFL before for their exhibition game, Dave is not going to be afraid. He's had the knife out for months. The only 2 safe players this year are Vernon Adams Jr. and Rene Paredes. Everybody else, I think, on that Stamps roster is cuttable. If you're not performing, because Dickinson's angry Dave will do whatever he takes to get a winner this year, and they won't stop at anything. And just knowing that they'll be as ruthless as possible to get there because of the 5 wins, that's the kind of stuff that worries me.
Well, the Stampeders' defense was pretty porous last year, and there was a lot of guys that obviously had quit on the team and just didn't want to do it, and it was kind of bizarre to see a team like that that's been so dominant for so long. But you saw this train coming, and, the Stampeders management and ownership gave him, obviously a huge, vote of confidence by saying, no, we're not changing him. He's going to be doing his thing. Maybe he's going to change his duties a little bit, that sort of thing. But, it was obvious that Coach Dave didn't like a lot of the players that were playing for him, and it was obvious it was vice versa. So it was just not going to happen. I kind of doubt you're going to see that again. I think if you're not going to play or you're going to be inconsistent, you're probably going to be, taken off and
Did we lose Kelly? Chatting with Kelly Kersh, Western Pizza guest hotline here on the Sportscage. Colson, Curtis? Did we lose Kelly? All right. If we did, we'll try and get him back. If not, we'll go to a break. We come back, we'll go back to Rider training camp. Lake Corte Moore, defensive line. It's a battle there to find who's going to be the other piece on the other side of Malik Carney. We'll dive into that next. This is the Sports Cage on the home of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, 620 CKRM.
Frill's Country Music Rewind.
The Country Music Rewind with Colin Lovequist. Brought to you by Crawford's No Frills. Saturday afternoons at 4 and Sunday afternoons at 1 on Country's Greatest Hits, 620 CKRM.
SaskToday.ca is your local news source, proudly serving communities all across Saskatchewan. Sask Today's team of local journalists are on the ground focusing on local topics that matter to you. From agriculture, local community news, sports, and more. Find it all at sasktoday.ca. Sign up for our daily news digest at sasktoday.ca. From Harvard Media, everywhere.
How has Ag Direct Hail become one of the largest and fastest growing crop hail insurance providers on the prairies? Is it our competitive rates, our superior customer service and professional claims handling, or maybe it's our easy-to-use online application? I'm Bruce Lowe with Ag Direct Hail Insurance, and I want to thank hard-working farm families for your support. Whatever your reason is for choosing Ag Direct Hail, we appreciate your business. Please visit agdirecthail.com or call us toll-free.
Howdy, Wood Country Woody again. You know, you and me ain't so different. We both love to sit on a sunny deck with a cool beverage instead of sanding the thing all the time. And when I heard TimberTech composite decking material is super low maintenance, well, that sold me right there. They didn't even need to mention that it features a sweet little hidden fastener system or that they also have the treated lumber that goes underneath. It's easy, it's pretty, it's TimberTech from Wood Country.
Your home is your castle.
In McLean, Estevan, and Tisdale, wood-country.com.
Employee pricing has arrived at Crestview Chrysler with the 100 Years in Canada event. That means $99 per week on a new 2025 Jeep Compass. Financing as low as 0% for 72 months on select Ram 1500s. Save up to $26,000 on the new Dodge Durango Hellcat. Or get into a new 2024 Dodge Hornet for as low as $38,995. Take your pick, boss. It's employee pricing. Only for a limited time at Crestview Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram.
Crave is your destination for the summer's hottest reality series. Love Island USA is back. And so is host and fan favorite Ariana Madix.
Safe to say this season's looking pretty good.
Don't miss the cultural phenomenon critics call must-see TV. Love Island USA. The new season streams June 3rd. On Crave. Proudly Canadian.
This is Sportscage. Watch our live stream at sportscage.com and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
We were just talking Riders with Kelly Kersh on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline and that home opener. Don't forget, if you want to go to the home opener and the Labor Day Classic, the Watermelon Pack is for you. It's a great way for you to check out a couple of the hottest games on the Riders schedule this year. Home opener being June 5th, so next week. The Labor Day Classic on August 31st. Package includes tickets to both games starting at just $78 plus tax. Speaking of the Bombers coming to town on Friday, looks to be great weather-wise. Kickoff, forecast, sunshine, 24 degrees, tiny breeze. Should be an awesome night for football. Lots going on today. Let's see. It was the final day of training camp. There's walkthrough tomorrow. So today was like the last official day. Walkthrough tomorrow, game on Friday. We heard from Coach Mace in hour one. And if you missed any of those conversations, go back and listen to the podcast. You can download it, Apple, Spotify. If you like and subscribe to that, it's just going to show up wherever you're getting your podcast from these days. Even on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. This stuff shows up automatically. Mace was talking about that Friday night, still the evaluation. Cuts happen Saturday all across the league. Roster spots are up for grabs. And I had asked Dave, is Mace serious when he said that everybody's got to earn their job? And he said, yes. It's been the message since before camp, into rookie camp, main camp. Nothing is set in stone. Well, there's a few. And I also asked Dave if on Monday, once the cuts are done, there's going to be some people that are going to make the team that will surprise Rider fans, and there's going to be some people that maybe don't make the team. Maybe some familiar names that we know and like. That for whatever reason, somebody beat them out. And we'll ask him on Monday if that list he has going in his head kind of matches up. Because he'd be watching this just like everybody else. I think there's a lot of people, that we just automatically assume, but maybe they're not having a great camp. And as Dave said, it comes down to execution. Another stat that Dave brought up, a lot of people were knocking the Riders last year and their D line. They don't get any sacks. They don't get any pressures. But then the way that it all worked out is when you went to Pro Football Focus, actually the Riders were leading the league in quarterback pressures. Maybe they were leading the league in sacks, but they were getting pressures. Sacks are great. It's like a dunk in basketball. It's a glory thing. Looks good. But there wasn't a ton. The sack leader in Charleston Hughes, who, by the way, we got word from Charleston, he's actually flying this afternoon. So he's going to make it up to us. He's going to come onto the show when he's done traveling, maybe the next week or two. He was beside himself that last year somebody won the sack title in the CFL, having only 9 sacks, but sacks were down. Quarterback play was up, quick release, all of that. So pressures are key. The Riders were leading the league in quarterback pressures. And one of the guys that was part of that from last year was a Rider who, by the end of the season, was playing some really good football. Dave had a chance to catch up with Lake Corte Moore and ask him about that Rider defense.
Now, you obviously have been through a training camp before. Are you where you want to be at right now?
Yeah, I think so. I feel really comfortable. I know when I came in as a rookie, I had learned a whole new system. And then last year with the whole coaching change, I had to learn a whole new system again. And then this year is a system that I'm familiar with, everything that I know. I feel like I'm playing faster, stronger, and just not overthinking everything because I already know it. It's kind of second nature to me from last year. So it's made it a lot more comfortable, and I feel like I'm playing pretty well right now.
One thing that you've done over the years is I don't want to say transformed your body, but you've changed your body type in the off-season work that you've done. Did you change up anything this year?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like this year I realized what it would be like to be an end playing in this league. And I kind of went back to that last year of college where I was a little bit lighter, stuff like that. And I want to be able to contribute as much as I can, no matter where it is, whether it's special teams or on the D-line. So this year I kind of came in a little bit lighter, but try to be stronger as well and be able to run and all that and just get after it.
I talked to some of your teammates and we talk about expectations and they say, well, nobody has any higher expectations than I have for myself. What are your expectations for yourself?
Just execute every play the best that I can, go out there and compete and really just play this game, not only just for myself, but also for everyone in our room. I think that's the big thing that Coach Mace preaches is we're all a family. And if you do your job and work together as a unit, we'll be able to get the ultimate goal at the end of the year, which is hopefully hosting that Grey Cup.
Can you tell me about your off-season approach and the fact that you talked to some of the folks like Coach Mace said, we didn't get the job done last year. I would submit there was a lot of things that you did accomplish, but did that disappointment of not getting to the Grey Cup fuel you any differently in the off-season?
For me anyways, last year when I hurt my knee that kind of was a reset for me. It kind of sucked. It was the first injury I think I've had in my career ever, and first games I've ever missed ever playing football. So that was just a tough thing for me to swallow near the end of the year. And then on top of that, I was trying to get back to possibly play in the Grey Cup. And so with that, I guess it hurt a lot, obviously, because my goal was to play in that Grey Cup and get there. But it also just hurt not being out there and helping the team in that West Final, and watching it from home was really tough for me. And that kind of, after that, I hit a low, I feel like, because I ended up going back to Vancouver and I watched the Grey Cup, and I was like, oh, all my friends and family are out here and all this stuff. They're watching the Grey Cup, but I wish that I was playing in it. And after that, I kind of just hit a low and was like, I need to make sure that I don't feel like this ever again. And I get to that area where we're in it every year and we're pushing to be in it every year. And so that was my realization with it. And also I just wanted to be out there with my brothers playing and contributing to try and get there as well.
Take me through the mindset, the mental approach following up from an injury. As a fan, we hear, it could be 2 or 4 weeks that you're out, but we don't understand what goes into the rehab and trying to get back into that playing shape and getting the mind right to return. What was it like for you if that's the first time you've had to tackle that?
Yeah, it was difficult because when it happened, I thought I was okay. I thought I was good to go. I thought just tape it up and I'm fine, you know what I mean? And then imaging and stuff came back and they kind of told me, hey, like, it's going to be a 5 to 6 week or even more than that. Like they were telling me the honest truth of being like, hey, you probably won't be able to play again this season. And I took that a little bit as a challenge. And at first it's a slow process because you want to start doing stuff, you feel good, but you got to let it heal a little bit before you can start ramping it up. And our athletic trainers are amazing, and the doctors and our facilities too helped so much with the underwater treadmill and just everything. So I was able to, in a way, come back faster than they expected. And I was actually practicing before the West Final there with the team, hoping to come back. But it was just like thinking about it and the whole process on it. It's a grueling process, and I feel bad for those guys that have to go the whole year without with a surgery and stuff like that. For me, it was only those 5 to 6 weeks, but it's a process where you're like, you really start to miss the game, and you start to miss the little things that are taken away from you in those moments. And that's kind of how I took it. And it's I vow to myself now to always make sure that, yeah, it was a freak accident on how it happened. It had nothing to do with like me being out of shape or anything. But now I'm like, I'm going to take every advantage I can when I'm on this field.
So far, so good. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
That's Lake Corte Moore with Dave Thomas, voice of the Riders. Preseason will wrap Friday night at Mosaic Stadium. Bombers in town. Are we going to see Zach Collaros? I don't know. Maybe, potentially. What about Willie Jefferson? If you're Trevor Harris or Jake Mayer and Willie's in street clothes on the sidelines, it's one less thing to worry about. That's a tall man. Those knockdowns, man, he's been a game disruptor ever since he's been in this league, and he just seems to be getting better and better and better. For the game on Friday, weather looks to be great, and the 620 CKOM Cooperators Rider Broadcast Network pregame show is going to start at 4 o'clock on Friday afternoon. So what that means for the Sportscage, we'll do Sportscage from 3 to 4. You get an abbreviated show with Barney. And then we kick into the pregame show at 4. David Luke will have the call. Kickoff goes just after 7 o'clock, right here on the home of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And we're going to take a break, and we'll be back in just a bit. It's 620 CKRM.
A rolling stone gathers no moss? What a weird saying. Does it gather moss if it's not rolling? So many questions. But what I don't question is where I get my tires. When your vehicle needs the right tires, see your local Cooper tire dealer. Your local Cooper tire dealer carries Cooper Pro Control tires. They're designed to wear evenly for crisp handling and engineered to take on water while maintaining grip. Ask your local Cooper tire dealer about Cooper Pro Control tires today. They'll keep you rolling.
Experience the next level of cleanliness with B&Boa's Cleaning Services. We bring reliable service, eco-friendly practices, and flexible scheduling to homes, businesses, and industrial spaces. Book us this spring and get 15% off. Whether it's your office, home, or warehouse, we'll have your space shining. Better hurry, offer ends soon. B&Boa's Cleaning Services. From homes to industries, we clean with care. Visit bboascleaning.com.
Hey, we're Harvard Media. A few times a year, we love to get together with our favorite businesses and throw a good old-fashioned classic auction. There's nothing like waiting until the last minute, battling out other bidders, and claiming your prize. We're looking for businesses to join up for our next one. All we need from you is an experience, service, or item like a gift card. In return, we'll serve you up a top-tier ad campaign. No cash needed. This is a trade deal. Check out harvardmedia.com for info. Terms and conditions apply.
So since that little ding on my car last week, I don't know where to take it.
I don't even know.
That's easy. Take it to Regina Motor Products.
Who said that?
I did. Down here. I'm Terry the Tire. Regina Motor Products Chevrolet Collision Center and SGI accredited auto body repair is a full-service collision and body shop that works on all makes and models. Just submit your claim to SGI and set an appointment to get your appraisal done. Easy.
I bet you're tired after saying all that.
South at Highway 1 and 6, Albert Street. RMPChevrolet.com.
Get it hot and get it fast. Western Pizza.
It's good to be home.
Mom, what's for dinner? Can we get pizza?
Before Mom even had a chance to get annoyed, she recognized the good idea one of her kids actually had.
Not bad. Not bad.
After a long day when you don't feel like cooking, think Western Pizza. Big on toppings, big on taste. Dine in or takeout. Order today.
And get it hot and get it fast. Western Pizza.
When so much is beyond your control in the field, it's nice to know one thing can be. Co-op Hail Insurance. Since 1947, they've been there when farmers need them most, providing peace of mind while protecting your revenue. Hail insurance coverage at affordable rates, and no problem should it come time to pay your claim after the hailstorm. Co-op Hail, a trusted insurance partner with service you can bank on. Contact your local Co-op Hail agent, or for convenience and to save even more, use their online buy direct option at coophail.com.
Text CKRM 306-936-6262. Powered by Prairie Land Rentals. From skid steers to tents to power tools, anything you need to rent for that spring or summer job is at Prairie Land Rentals. Deal with the owner. 600 Albert Street. It's time for the Sports Ticker.
NHL playoff action tonight. Eastern Conference Final. Game 5. Florida Panthers taking on the Carolina Hurricanes in Raleigh. I've actually been to a game there. It's crazy loud. But it's it's a newer building, but very basic. Not a lot of frills to go along with that. You ever been to North Carolina? It's interesting country. It's like being around north of Prince Albert. Everything is cut out of the forest. Not a bad spot. With a win tonight, the Panthers can move on to their third straight Stanley Cup final. Face-off is going to go at about 6:10, 6:15. Baseball tonight. Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Texas Rangers. First pitch will go just after 6 o'clock. And don't forget that tomorrow night, the Regina Red Sox will kick off the regular season against the Swift Current 57s. It'll go tomorrow night at Curry Field. Colson Curtis, can we confirm or deny Sportscage at the ballpark tomorrow night? What's our status there? What's our is the show going on the road?
Barney keeps saying it is, but I still haven't heard it from anybody else. And we kind of need to know, right, to run the show if someone's going to be there. So by all intents and purposes, I think it is. But yeah.
Colson, have you not learned in the past year there is one commander-in-chief on this sports show that makes all of the rules and decides everything?
And it's not Barney.
I was going to say the initials are BS. And so if you got your marching orders to be at Curry tomorrow, you just do your thing. Show up, glove in hand.
You don't want me playing ball. No. I had one kind of practice. I want to say I was 7 or 8 years old playing T-ball and never went back to it for some reason after that. Don't know what my parents saw, but apparently that was enough.
Colson, there's a lot of us on this show that are probably more artistic than athletic. You would fall into the artistic category. The guy next to you with the man bun, yes, and over here. We couldn't get Charleston on today. Listen, don't text me later that was unfair, all right? I think that's safe to say. I know this is going to be a work, but do we have the Charleston Hughes video of him doing bench press? Can you pull that up? Do you have that anywhere handy?
No.
Because I want to show you. Okay, so Charleston.
I feel like I don't even want to go and grab it anymore. You're just calling me artistic. I don't like that.
Okay, first of all, if we can play the Charleston Hughes video, I will ask you. It's him doing a bench press in the gym, and he cranks out 10 to 15 reps. If you can find it, great. But I remember when he sent it to us and we forgot to use it. I was like, between the three of us, could we do as many as he did by himself? And the answer was a resounding no. So let's go more artistic than athletic, all right? We're all in this together. All in this together. If you don't have it, that's fine. I'm just saying. And he does it with no shoes on. Like, if you watch the video, he's wearing socks. Like, he's benching, 250 pounds?
Yeah.
I can send it again.
I found it, but I don't know where the download button is. I'm struggling.
Okay, will you download? Okay, that's totally fine. This is pretty cool. Ottawa Red Blacks announced the other day that this year they want fans at the park and they'll do whatever they can. A lot of people are excited about their football team, and so what they've did is they've come up with a fan-first menu for all Red Blacks games this year. Check this out. At a time when everything is crazy expensive, they've got a $5 and under menu for football games, including the classic hot dog, chili dog, Doesn't this sound good? Garlic butter pretzel bites. Ooh. Ariba nachos in a bag. Okay. Pogos, whatever that is. Is that a corn dog? Colson or Curtis? Is a pogo a corn dog?
I think
popcorn,
technically,
chips, and water. Oh.
Yeah, I believe like a pogo is like a cheap. It's a brand of corn dog. It's like the cheap ones you find in the freezer section.
But still, for $5 and under, that's great because I think there's plenty of posts online in the playoffs.
Hear me out.
What do you have?
Hear me out. How about you just go to the grocery store and then you buy a bunch of pogos for, I believe you can get them for $11.99 for a pack of 10, and just put 5 of them in your pocket. Like wear cargo shorts and just come to the game like Napoleon Dynamite with like tots in the pocket, but instead you could just have some pogos in the pocket. Right?
I think it's a rite of passage being from Saskatchewan. Everybody has tried to smuggle something into somewhere. We're not advising that, but we've all done it. It is for a lot of it was liquor. I like this idea. I mean, it makes it affordable. Like when you're buying, it's one thing, and you guys don't have kids. When you take the kids somewhere and they want something, go, Dad, I want a pop, or I want a hot dog, I want this. And then they eat half. And if it's something that you're not going to eat, the other half you end up throwing away. You're like, okay. So, hey, I like the move. It's good.
To put 5 pogos in the cargo shorts and smuggle them in like a pirate? The last Saskatchewan pirate?
Last year, trying to get into the stadium, I can't remember what game it was. Thankfully, Kevin Clive from the Riders was standing near the fence and recognized me. Because security, I was bringing in my backpack, which had my laptop. The football games were on. We were working. We had actual work to do. No, these guys are like, no. And I had my pass out and everything. It was a no-go. It was a no-fly zone. I was not getting in with a laptop and stuff. I can't imagine if you're trying to smuggle in corn dogs. Because when I got patted down, they easily would have found. I would have been busted, taken away in plastic cuffs.
I don't know. It's
Do we find the video? Do we find the bench press?
Yeah, it's just downloading now. It's taken a while.
Okay.
I feel like I did see a video somewhere out there. There was a guy that went to every single stadium in like the CFL, and he rated how easy it was to sneak into every single stadium. It's been a minute since I watched it. I want to say like Hamilton was like the easiest one to get into, and I want to say that Winnipeg was the hardest one to sneak into. So I don't think you're going to be bringing any pogos to Winnipeg anytime soon. But allegedly, that guy thought that Mosaic was like kind of like in the middle of the pack as far as sneaking into a facility goes.
I saw there was a guy on Instagram, and maybe it's the same guy. He sneaks into NHL arenas, and he snuck into the Saddle Dome quite easily. And I guess that caused all sorts of problems because there's people that are getting paid to make sure that doesn't happen. And it got run up the flagpole that you're doing that. So the guy's not, he's doing it for content. He wasn't doing it to be malicious, but I get it. You're sneaking in somewhere that you don't have a ticket. Some people take offense to that. Not everybody thinks an Instagram reel is the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah, that actually kind of reminds me of a funny story. So at the Roughrider games, I've been down to the field level for helping out with kind of like the sideline reporting. Every once in a while, we might have like a tech problem. So I was down there for giving batteries or something. And then I believe this was not last season, but the season prior. And they just changed the rules for who could be like on the field side. Like they changed it to you had to have like CFL credentials. You couldn't just have like in stadium credentials. So I went down there with my boss, Mosh, and then we were hanging out there, and we definitely ended up on like a very like front page of like security email being like, why are these guys down here? Clearly not credentialed. Just standing there giving out batteries.
Hey, listen, I've met both of you. You're both outstanding dudes. But if I were to see both of you next to you and I had to pick out who are the two shady people on the sideline that maybe don't belong here, you two are top of the list.
And
top of the list.
Pogo dog in the pocket.
sneaking in corn dogs.
Yeah.
Okay. Is the video ready?
Yeah, it is ready. Here.
Okay.
Are you ready?
So if you're watching the stream, is there audio? Turn up the audio. So if you're watching the stream, because I think this is when the combine was going on and Charleston's like, hey, he's still got it and he could still pump iron. And here's him at some gym without shoes on. Like, how many reps was that? Like about 20 reps at 200. Is it 225 or 250 pounds? There's our guy Charleston. And I'll still submit to you, between the three of us, could we lift what he lifted by himself?
No.
I
struggle with the bar sometimes. I maybe put a little bit of weight on each side. The bar is 50 pounds in itself. Fun fact.
Oh, there's some guy or girl at a gym right now listening, going, just shaking their head to be like, okay, full transparency. And I've done this before. If you cannot lift the bar, then stay off it. Oh, okay. I know you don't have a Planet Fitness membership, Colson. So what are you going to add to this?
No, I was just going to say that the bars are usually 45 or 50 pounds, and those should be 45-pound plates. So 225, you're right. And
all right.
This was, it was around the combine because I think it was Randy Chevrier. I think they were going kind of back and forth on who could do more. So, no, none of us are coming up to that level. Goodness, no. In my old job, I had to do shows where my old job, I would run speakers and microphones at whatever venue you booked us at. And I've done events where it's just powerlifting and stuff. And so I've seen people with a bar with 6 or 7 plates on each side. And I'm just like,
Yep.
No, thanks.
How much time do we have left? I want to see if we can get to one more thing. What do we got time-wise
30
here?
seconds.
Okay, so tell me if I'm crazy. Is tipping culture getting out of control? Curtis, do you want to put this up? So I was at a coffee shop earlier today.
Ugh.
It's a giant brand. The coffee I bought was $3.10. Here are the tip options that came up on the debit machine. This is why I like paying in cash, because then you're not even hassled with this. I didn't have cash. On a $3.10 coffee, add a tip, $1, $2, or $5. Other amount or no thank you.
Like, no. Like, I don't have an issue with restaurants that have, like, we've already factored in 15% gratuity. I don't have an issue with that, especially when it's like a large guest or large group or whatever. But on a single coffee?
Yeah, I know. All right. That's good. I just wanted to check. Listen, I'm over 50 now, and I'm out of touch with your generation. I just want to know if I was right, if I didn't offend by not participating. I don't necessarily know anybody that's going to leave a $5 tip on a $3.10 cup of coffee. That's why. And once again, right there, I went to a bank machine to have cash to be like, nope, because when you pay cash, they can't even spin that little iPad or that thing around to even hit you with that. That's how us old people are going to get around it these days. Thanks for being part of the Sports Cage today. For Curtis and Colson, it's Maz in for Barney. If you missed any part of the show, you can always catch us in podcast form, Apple, Spotify, or you can just go where it's all neatly stored if you want to watch on YouTube or just get the audio version at sportscage.com. Have a great night.
620 CKRM is your home to country's greatest hits and the 90s at 9. 1 full hour featuring the biggest hits of the 90s. Garth, Reba, Alan, Shania, George, and so much more. No cassette tape or CDs required, and 90s mullets are optional. 90s at 9 for the town of Wolseley and the voice of Saskatchewan. 620 CKRM.
In farming, there's 3 sure things: change, taxes, and hail. You can't do much about change and taxes, but you can prepare for hail with municipal hail insurance. For 108 years, storm after storm, Municipal Hail has been providing predictable, cost-effective coverage, accurate and timely